domination.
All the Vanguard.
There we go. Alright, we're good now.
Okay, so because taking engaged in domination is cheating, I'm taking domination and banners.
I'm just gonna chill.
Alright, well, we're already pretty lazy, man, so let's just roll off the rest of the play the first unit. I got a 5.
2.
You deploy the first unit.
Okay. Do we want to wait till we're on stream?
Oh, yeah, we're on stream.
Right now.
Oh, we are? Okay.
Cool. Go ahead. What would you like to put down first?
I'll put a
You reserved all the Vanguard vets, 1 squad of Inceptors, and all the Sanguinary Guard?
Yes.
Okay, you're going the other direction from last time.
Yes. Yes, I am. Drop the death first.
Okay.
It's going to be bottom floor.
Oh, yeah, so these are L's, by the way. There are no floors, they just block.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm just putting them on top for the purposes of the stream.
I don't know how thick these are supposed to be, but we'll just assume they're just the front wall.
It's just the front wall.
Just the wall, yeah.
You can fighting an inch in.
This is going to shock you. So here's the thing. You know what? Mana cores only shoot 126 inches.
Can you reach their game? I don't know if you can reach their game.
I don't know. Yeah, I should ask the Tyranid player if he needs some help in directing some White Scars.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be far out. I'll put a mana core here.
Okay. Chapter Master.
Alright, we'll put a mana core here.
Sang Priest.
Okay. I'll put this warlock is an inquisitor. Don't ask.
Those Yachty
Or Xenos. I was over here.
Don't ask, don't tell.
What you got?
Company vets.
I'll put a company commander right here. What are those guys?
Infiltrators?
Oh, you do have infiltrators on this list.
Yeah.
One unit. Oh, I thought they were in...
It's not enough for your deployment, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so it's probably not gonna be that right now. Okay.
Are they, is that 9? Oh yeah, that's beyond the objectives.
Right. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
You're like, nope, which means they would be going just in the open, which is generally
Right.
not
So-
where they want to live.
They're just going to live over here.
On the other corner.
Yep.
Okay, we're changing the dice cam from being a look at the dice bag cam to a.
Everyone always told me I was a D-bag.
Yeah, well, now
bag
we
cam.
can look at you deploy your guardsmen. Look at them and their beautiful pink sachet.
Yeah, you know
Right.
what? This is stream-friendly guard squad denotation. All right, I got 5 things down.
Okay. 3 blade guard vets, just kind of
Okay.
in front, behind the death company, but in front of the.
Okay, so we have your captain, company vets, and those are the company vets.
Oh yeah.
Okay, blade guard, gotcha. Okay, it's probably not going to matter because if they're sitting back there, I'm not interacting with it. We'll just put it down here.
Are you guys able to see everything, stuff, hear everything?
Yeah, these guys are happy. Okay, can you go in here?
Yep, we can still hear everything fine on your end.
Okay.
As soon as you go live, just let us know our interest and we will take over.
We are.
I don't know if I left
We are live.
deployment actually.
We are already live, Pickles?
Yes.
All right,
Is there any
perfect.
way you can
Well,
shoot
in that case,
deploy over
welcome.
here without-
I am
With
super
a
excited
mana?
about this content. I am
That's
John
the
Lennon.
answer is with a mana core.
And I'm joined today by
Can
Mr.
I do this
Richard
legally?
Ziegler.
Indeed, and actually, we both have a personal stake in
And
this
be in cover.
because
I
we
don't know,
helped with
you
these.
just cheat. That's the typical.
We do.
I mean,
indeed.
that's
Right
what you
now,
do.
Yeah, well, I mean, that,
Nah, I don't
Indeed,
know
we do
that.
have a stake. These lists were actually written by, or helped
Three
written
more
by
Vanguard
myself
down
and
here.
Mr. Ziegler. Ziegler was responsible for Harris's Blood Angels, while I certainly contributed to Zach's Imperial Guard. I think he updated it with the points changes, but it's right about where I would
Sure,
put it
there.
anyway.
24 inches means these guys will be standing like.
Alright, so looking like they're both deploying their armies now. This is just a super interesting contrast of styles. Blood Angels have that awesome board control, speed, close combat, and just general marine
That could be
durability.
Black Legion.
Guard
Yes.
is
So you get all the regions.
packed
All the regions.
You can get really. Sanguinius gets really mad about Black Legion. It turns out.
stand on the
He's
objective
kind
when the
of a
corpse is
hater.
gone. It'll be very interesting to see how this game plays out. It looks like Harrison committed a decent amount of the army to reserves, probably because he's trying to respect some of the firepower being cut out by this card list. He doesn't want to have anything caught in the open.
How much left?
But there's quite a bit of screening in a card list, just by definition, having all those bodies. It'll be very interesting to see how those reserves are able to come in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he ended up putting both units of secondary guard, the Vanguard vets, and a unit of plasma inceptors in. Guard obviously have a ton of deep strike small units, and they have move guardsmen to get up the table and screen out the middle. So it might be hard for them to actually get in range of the tanks. However, they are very good for pulling the guard army apart and taking control of those top objectives, which might be his plan here.
Turn on the fist.
Absolutely. Pretty much anything Harrison hits is going to evaporate. It's just going to be a question of how fast Zach can hit Harrison back and what he's going to let him hit.
Now, another interesting note on the terrain on this board is doesn't seem to be too many forests, and forests are probably one of the biggest detriments to full payload mana cores. Hitting on 5s is not what they really want. However, this board, it seems like there's only 2 forests, top, middle, and bottom middle. So I don't think they'll be taking.
Got no arms. He's Lieutenant Sam because he has no arms.
Aye. Lieutenant Dan, you ain't
It's
got
going
a...
to be really interesting. What I'm also interested in is this mission. We're playing priority target, and it looks like they've already moved the objectives around a little bit. Can't quite tell if they've moved the objectives yet. But either way, this mission is probably in favor of the guard, getting an extra easy secondary because the priority target secondary is relatively easy to score.
Mhm.
That probably plays better to the guard because Blood Angels are just so good at scoring secondaries. They're gaining a little bit less. Guard don't necessarily have 3 good ones they want in this scenario.
Yep.
So just having the mission handy one is really nice for Zach.
Yeah, Marines overall just don't give up secondaries in general, and you tend to not want to take board control secondaries. So being able to take an easy, hey, I sit in my deployment points is amazing.
Yep, absolutely. I imagine that there will be a decent amount in the deployment zone of the Imperial Guard for most of this game. We'll see how that progresses.
Other interesting to note is the L shapes in the middle mean that it's actually quite easy to get line of sight into that entire middle area. So it's not going to be Blade Guard just sitting in the middle behind a ruin, touching an objective, and being difficult to deal with.
Exactly. While they're deploying, let's go ahead and just talk about the army lists. I'll go ahead and start off by talking about Zach's Imperial Guard. He's pure Imperial Guard, just an allied Inquisitor. That Inquisitor is a Malleus Inquisitor who's going to be casting 2 spells a turn. It does, of course, no Smite, but also Psychic Fortitude and Warding Incantation, which will basically make 1 guard unit auto pass morale and have a 5-up invulnerable save. Super strong either way, helping up the defense of those guard. In that first detachment, we've got quite a few bodies. We've got 3 company commanders, looks like 58 conscripts and another 40 infantry, so close to 100 guard bodies right there. And then the elites are packed with 3 command squads and 3 special weapon teams. All of these are just full of plasma guns. That's going to be a total of, it looks like 21 plasma guns between those 6 units. And all 6 units are in reserve. As if 21 plasma guns that are, quite frankly, very inexpensive wasn't scary enough. Because of the detachment rules, they're going to be firing at 18 inches instead of the traditional 12. As well, all of these guard infantry are always going to have cover against shooting attacks. That's light cover, unless they advanced in their previous turn. Again, that's really good here. There's not that much anti-infantry shooting for the Blood Angels, but just being in cover even when you're in the open means that it'll just take a little bit longer to grind them down with random bolt guns and other fire. I think a plasma scepter will still kill guard them straight away, but that's okay. You weren't planning on that. The 5-up interval is what that's for. In that second detachment, it looks like it's a spearhead. The spearhead is actually kind of cool because it means all of these Leman Russ are going to be. We've got 2 tank commanders that are fully charged. We've got demolisher cannons and multi-meltas. That 24-inch range is normally here spot. So that's actually going to be a 30-inch there, plus 6 inches to all those buttons, as well as they can roll the dice for the number of shots. Next up, we have 1 Astropath with Psychic Barrier. That's going to be very useful. +1 saving throw. You can put that on the same unit that's benefiting from the 5 of Death. So basically, just have a 4 of Death. And honestly, on a guardsman, a 4 pinball may be enough to blunt the weight of attacks and high AP attack that the Blood Angels can bring to bear. Next up, we've got one more traditional Lehman Russ. This one also has a Demolisher Cannon. And finally, 2 full payload Manticores. Those Manticores are flat 3 damage, which means they're quite a bit of work against these Marines. There's a lot of 2 and 3 wound models, and it's much stronger to have that flat 3 damage than to play into the D3 rolls. What's in his Blood Angel secret?
All right, walking into the Blood Angels, we have a Blood Angel Patrol with the Chapter Master pack or the entire game, giving optic to all of your core units, and the entire, of course, combat weapon, one of the best melee relics in the game. Then the secondary beast, forward, 5 up aura against mortal wounds, of course. And the Chief Apothecary is naturally selfless healer, one of the best warlord traits in the game as well, where you're bringing back for free model with the combat restorations stratagem, and then healing up to 2 units back flat 3. It's amazing. And the armor and dominus, a little bit of extra defense late game, maybe has to stand out an objective at some point. Pop a 3 up invuln, not bad. 5 infiltrators. Infiltrators are excellent against
Hey, Richard, you're breaking up a little bit.
or engage in all fronts against you, you can kind of shut down an entire flank with those infiltrators. And 2 company vets, really powerful ability they bring is the new bodyguard rule, where characters within 3 cannot be targeted by ranged weapons. So character wide out on an objective, company vets behind a ruin within 3, can't target that character. Very powerful rule. And then we have 2 units of 5 plasma scepters, and 5 points of model, but incredible value, and they are going to be particularly brutal against conflict blobs, which have more than 6 models. So max shots, a lot of damage, but we have that fearless and 5 of them. Then we have Blood Angel Vanguard, Chief Librarian Mephiston. He is an absolute beat stick. He knows 3 power, has 2, and then you can spend a CP to cast a 3rd on him. So can do it all. Very, very powerful. And he is, because he's Primaris, he's actually transhuman. The strat to Mephiston's engagement range of you is effective against guard, against other lists, maybe TJ Lanning. That's powerful there. And we have 2 units of 3 guard.
Oh, quick before we finish up. Roll up.
Hey, John and Richard, your audio's real bad.
The audio's bad?
All right, we'll mess
Yeah,
with
you're
that, see if we
breaking
can
up.
make that sound a little bit better. All right, we'll try it again. Let us know if this is any better at all for us.
Yeah.
That
Go
right there
ahead
was
and,
okay. I turned the
go ahead
players
and
back up.
continue.
Let me know if it's loud enough.
So I'm gonna spend 1 CP to pregame with them.
I'll finish off the list there. 2 3-man blade guard units, which is very good. Objective holders can be obstacle with Rights of War, of course. 5 Death Company Marines, 1 Thunderhammer, 1 Power Fist, all jump packs, of course. Being able to pregame move if needed and help get those relentless assault points. And then 2 units of 4 Sanguinary Guard with axes, strain 6, +1 wounds, amazing against all the T5 in the game right now. And then 10 Vanguard vets, Lightning Claw, Storm Shields, one of the best units in the game, and extremely efficient all by itself. So tons of damage coming out there.
All right, so it looks like Zach, the Imperial Guard player, has won the roll-off for first turn, I believe. And I think Harrison is just doing a pregame scout move on the Death Company. Looks like he's just scouting them behind a building, just that it's going to be hard to get line of sight to them. Totally makes sense. There's a lot of direct line of sight shooting from the guard that, frankly, you don't want to get seen by. So just hiding behind a ruin is a great place to be. There is still some indirect, though, so we'll see where Zach chooses to put it. But right now, he's starting to move up his infantry. Be interesting to see, because he already knows what that first move is, he can probably keep his tanks away from the Death Company. I think he's all right catching it on an infantry unit. He just doesn't want to lose a full conscript blob to that Death Company at once, I think. Because Zach is going first here, I think his game plan is to kind of assume that if he hasn't tabled Harrison, Harrison's going to get that Harrison at the bottom. There's just too much obstacle, too much killing power to just cut through guardsmen. He needs to immediately get an advantage on the primaries and start blasting apart Harrison's threats. He needs to bring his reserves in before Harrison. He needs to be aggressive here, kill as much as possible, while scoring primary points, make sure that Harrison can't kick him off of too many objectives at once.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he needs to rack up some primary early here, push back Harrison's own deep striking units, and making sure that they're not going to be touching the middle very easily, and then just trying to soak up as much damage with these conscripts so that the full payload manticores and the tank commanders are doing brutal amount of damage each turn.
Absolutely. That
Even
has to
with
be done, right?
transhuman and 6-up in the pain, these guards
I don't know
putting
if
out
they're
a
craters. Is
palatial
there
amount of
craters or
firepower.
forests they're -3 charge? But I don't think they are in this. And you have fly, so
Oh, yeah.
I'll advance the blue squad.
Can you see where the infiltrators are, John? I wonder which side he's trying to knock out. I think they're at the. There's something up at the bottom, but that might be.
Those look like guardsmen.
It looks like small guardsmen. They might be at this bottom side here, which means
They are
uh,
over here.
he's going to kind of defend this flank with the infiltrators and push the other side.
Yep. Looks like Harrison just pointed it out. Looks like those infiltrators are in the bottom
I
right.
don't even know what they're
I would
saying
not
right
be
now.
surprised if that's actually where the manticores went. That's just an objective that
They're
nothing
saying I can never
else
come in off this
Zach's
board edge because it's your table edge, so
right
putting
now.
infiltrators over here is inefficient. You
The
guys learn how good
manticores
your
are
block
trying
me
to
because I
push
can
off
never come in
the
on
unit,
this side.
then anything else that tries to run onto it may be able to get blasted by these tanks. We'll see what kind of direction Zach chooses to take. He has a lot of firepower, but you do have to allocate it correctly with guard. It's not the easiest army to play in 9th edition, but there is quite a bit of potential there. This is going to be a really interesting game where the player choices are going to have a huge impact on how the matchup actually goes. I think either player definitely has the list to win the game. It's really going to come down to the decisions they make.
Yeah, and this is already interesting. The manticores are coming out. The positioning with the infiltrators, there is probably a potential spot where the range and being able to target the infiltrators would have to go through the forest, and that -1 to hit is massive for manticores. I don't know exactly where the last model is placed, but hopefully at the minimum they're all in cover. This is where I would transhuman to try and keep them alive for sure.
Absolutely. And he may just put the first manticore there, try to bait out the transhuman, and if it goes there, maybe he'll go find a different target.
Yeah, because the chief apothecary is not down there, you know you'll be able to heal at least up there, and you have the 6-up
that's-
pain.
It's a very good point. Yep. I don't mind at all that the manticores are pushing up a little bit. One of the great stratagems for manticores is that they do have a 1 CP plus 1 to hit if they have line of sight. So it's nice to be in a position where you could pop out for line of sight. You don't want to be buried too deep, otherwise you won't be able to move and use the stratagem. Just he's at a point now where next turn, if he wants to move out, he could get theoretical line of sight, and that's enough to deter Harrison from bringing out too many of the Blood Angels at once, as if he needed more incentive.
Yep. And he's got plenty of guardsmen to block off the charges from those Death Company if he can't deal with them.
Yep. All right. Looks like one of the tank commanders is starting to glide up as well. I don't think it's quite in threat range of the Death Company, but it could definitely be tagged by it.
Yeah.
He might be willing to accept that because there frankly probably won't be that much in line of sight to shoot anyway. So if he gets to kill the Death Company, gets tagged for 1 turn, he may not be shooting with all the tanks anyway.
No, but the tank gets closer to the middle to be able to OPSEC it later, which is going to be a big deal,
That
frankly.
is a very big deal. You want to have OPSEC available as much as possible to shut down the Blood Angels, because they're going to have OPSEC as well with Rights of War.
Yeah, so it looks like just the guardsman at the top side. And wonder where if he's going to use move here.
I would assume so. Try to get on.
Not only that, but he can move block the Death Company move. And pre-measure has to be 12 inches. And just be right 1 inch in front so they can't land behind.
Shooting
Looks like
commanders.
he just has
So
the
both the
psychic
tank
powers.
commanders are going to order the manticores to reroll ones because they can't say anything. This guy's going to move. 11 inches.
All right, it sounded like Zach is ordering his manticores to rear ones to hit. I may be mishearing that, but he actually cannot do it. Unfortunately, those tank orders only work on Lehman Russ keyword. So just make sure Zach knows that and make sure I didn't mishear things.
Zach, you can't order the manticores to reroll ones. It's only for Lehman Russes.
Oh, really?
That's what John just said.
I've never actually tried to do it before, so now I know I didn't cheat before, and they've kept me from cheating now, which is great.
Cool.
In which case,
Get you back.
All right, that is why we are here, folks.
No
Oh,
difference.
looks like those manticores are just going to move right back. They were moving up for the Russ. They have
Now,
no interest in that now.
To be fair, they don't have the 100 killer missiles, which I know you prefer as a tech piece, and that makes you want to actually get line of sight towards the
So
mid-game.
in this matchup, the heavy bolt is not doing much. I don't mind them being as far back as possible. Frankly, you just want to make sure you're screening out 9 inches in your back zone, and then you're good to go. Yep.
3 hits. 2 wounds.
2 wounds from Stone.
Okay, 3 damage each.
Okay.
You have a Philip Pain, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, looks like he's targeting plasma inceptors, trying to get a head start on that with the manticores. I don't hate that at all.
Second one.
Nice, everyone lives.
Yep. Hey.
Right, so one Plasma Scepter's down, the next one's wounded. At this point, we've done enough damage that the Apothecary would kill all of it, so that next Manticore has to be going in the same spot. Otherwise, you've literally wasted a rocket. It looks like he's going for it.
Yep.
So just trying to whittle down the Plasma Scepters.
I assume Transhuman was used here.
Certainly would assume
Only 3 hits.
One more.
only one.
Oh,
Now, if he makes this save,
he's in cover.
Hey,
So.
look, my shooting was worthwhile. It did something.
How much damage?
right, so he killed the second Plasma Scepter, which means one is going to come back, but 2 Manticores netting 1 Plasma Scepter. Not the worst thing
2
you
total.
could do, but one's going to come back.
Yeah, one's going to come back.
So he's basically netted 1. I would have honestly expected those shots to go away from the Apothecary for more lasting damage.
Yep.
But still, killing more Plasma Scepters is good. As we mentioned, there's a lot of hordes for this guard list, so taking away Bloodfoot is removing one of the great tools the Blood Angels have to try to kill all these units. Looks like the conscript moved just up to touch the center objective, so he's positioned on 3. I think he can probably hold 2 of them fairly safely. He just needs to make sure that, well, we'll see if the Blood Angels are able to remove that unit. I couldn't tell how many psychic powers he passed, but I would guess that the 5 Feel No Pain and the Fearless probably went on that blob that's pushing towards the center.
I would hope so. And that's going to make it so that it's not automatic that the Blood Angels pick it up.
No, not at all.
If he brings out the Plasma Scepters, then between shooting and the Death Company charge, I think they will actually kill them.
If they've got the 4-up invuln, I would actually bet that they survive, because you only need 1 model. Now, what I'm curious about is how many models Harrison is willing to commit here. Looks like he's bringing
if he's going
something
to commit
up.
anything, you might as well commit a lot.
Yeah, well, it could just be the Death Company and everything else waits a turn for the reserves to arrive, but it looks like he's pushing up more than that. That appears to be 3 Plasma Scepters running forward. I'm sure the Chief Apothecary is going to step
Blade Guard.
forward. Oh, there's a Blade Guard.
Yeah, those should be Blade Guard. The Plasma Scepters are towards the back that we're being shot at.
Got it, that makes more sense.
So, already interesting position, because it doesn't seem like he can make a charge move with them, which means I'd rather have them in cover or just still wait back there.
Yeah, I would think the only
until he
reason to do
commits.
that is if he's going to be bringing everything else out as well.
Yeah.
And if so, bold move with all of the plasma coming in, it's certainly possible. You know, you've got a strong invuln and a Feel No Pain. Never underestimate a Space Marine's ability to survive more than it should, but there is quite a bit of firepower potentially coming his way. We'll see what ends up happening for the Blood Angels here. It looks like he's bringing up more units. So yeah, it looks like he's kind of prepared to take 1 turn of it on the chin. From this position, it looks like next turn he'd be able to relatively easily get a lot of charges into the center if that conscript blob stays still. We'll see what Zach chooses to do in his turn, but it looks like Harrison's trying to overwhelm him with targets because he's bringing a lot out, and with the way these center runes are positioned, I would imagine the Rust could get some shots off from various angles without too much trouble, honestly.
Yeah, I think one moves towards the center, the other one moves towards the top side, opposites that objective.
There is a third one on the bottom. It may move full speed ahead, probably. I doubt it'll be able to move half, but it could still get some shots off. Again, that 30-inch range is very crucial.
At minimum, you get to shoot at the Death Company, which I assume are going to move right into the middle here.
I assume the Death Company are about to eat something.
Now, one thing to note here is the Death Company didn't start within 6 of the characters, so they're not going to have count as an Assault Doctrine unless he spends the command points, and they're not going to have Chapter Master rerolls.
Yeah, but, you know, it's still a Space Marine with the Chain Sword and quite a few angry attacks. That is a non-zero amount of dead
3
guardsmen.
Chain Swords, 1 Thunderhammer, 1 Power Fist.
Yeah, that could be a lot of dead guardsmen.
No, they're not going to stand there.
Really, I would try and get a wrap off on 2 units with the Death Company. There's 0 counter assault here, so if he can ideally get a wrap on 2, that means even with a cheeky fall out of that combat, he'll still be trapped with 1 unit.
Now, it looks like what Zach has done is pushed his 2 conscript blobs up about 7 or 8 inches away from each other. That's excellent positioning. You don't want 1 unit to be able to wrap both for the exact reason Sealer said. So what Harrison would be looking at is if there's a 10-man that is also next to a conscript unit, that would be the potentially devastating situation.
End of movement.
I like this move with the Death Company, though, is this is probably the unit on the bottom side of
Doesn't have
conscripts
buffs.
that doesn't have the buffs, and the forest is there, so it can make it very annoying to finish off those Death Company at -1 to hit, can pop the CP for 5 Feel No Pain. Maybe they end up surviving.
Yeah. Can we actually get confirmation from Pickles? Are those craters or forests? Kind of the top and bottom of our screen.
Yeah.
Little pieces, craters or forests?
These? Are 4, but it's forests. cock. All right, it's crater. These are craters. They're minus 2 to charge.
All right,
Except
those
he has
are
flies, so I don't
craters.
think it matters.
Now, the Death Company have flies, so they're going to ignore that anyway, but it does change a little bit the map on how those units are going to get shot
But
at.
you have flies, so it's irrelevant.
Still, I do like the move to just try to purge one of the conscript blobs. Frankly, if he's got all the defensive buffs on that conscript unit, I think it's unlikely that he would actually kill the whole thing in one go anyway. I just, I mean, you essentially take 64 up invulns, and well, that actually does take some effort. Just scooping up another conscript unit almost for free with the Death Company squad that doesn't have any of the buffs, and then they're going to have a nasty morale check afterwards.
Absolutely.
I think that's actually a good
Could
play.
force the 2 CP auto pass.
Yep.
At this point.
And regardless, doesn't have too many key stratagems, but it doesn't have 0 either. He has like use command points.
And you never know. At late game, I have to keep this last guardsman alive on this objective to get some points
If
out
you
of it.
burn it turn 1, that hurts. All right, very interesting here. So it looks like Harrison has started shooting. With that many dice, it's got to be a plasma scepter.
That was the plasma scepter. We just saw a whole pack of guardsmen get picked up.
All right, so it looks like the Death Company at the bottom are charging into the conscripts. I don't think Zach bothered to Overwatch, and frankly, I don't blame him. With 2 wounds on the Marines, you weren't likely to do much anyway. It looks like he's trying to charge as deep as possible. Maybe he'll be able to pile in or consolidate into that Lehman Russ. But at the very least, if he can move block it, that means it's not going to be able to get range on anything else. So even if he can't tag that Lehman Russ, I think this is absolutely the right play. Try to get as much forward motion as possible. This Death Company squad is dead. It's going to kill a lot of guardsmen first, and then something is going to shoot it to death. But you might as well use its movement, use its life, get into Zach's deployment zone, try to get some points on a secondary,
100%.
and move block some of the Lehman Russ as well.
Which I think was he was trying to just measure there is make sure the last model will get in no problem.
Yep. So I imagine that's what's on his mind right now. We'll find out at the end of the turn if he's able to get it. But I think with pile and consolidate, especially after killing a couple guardsmen, I would be willing to bet he gets the movement and gets into the deployment zone. That's very, very nice for Harrison.
Sure. And they'll Death Vision of Sanguinius.
Okay, so this guy can't fight into that, right?
Why?
He's not within a half inch. It's got to be half inch of a half
Right,
inch.
okay. So, I mean, I've got the...
Yeah, as long as you can stay within 2 of your own model doing that, I think that's good.
Yeah, I've got, like, again, 8.
All right, looks like they're just measuring out coherency, making sure everything's good, but I would anticipate that all of the models are going to be fighting.
Do you want to...
Oh, the count?
Just give me the count.
Now, it said something about Death Visions of Sanguini. Is that one of the new rules from the Blood Angel supplement?
So 3...
Looks like they're counting models right now in the unit.
No, I think they mean...
It's every 5.
I think...
Right? Yeah. 3, 2, 5.
We're going to just double check what that is exactly, because frankly, I'm not familiar with it.
3, 2, 5, 4.
What are you counting for? What's
The number of my models within 5 inches of him to do an extra attack.
what rule is that?
So it's Death Company get once per game Death Vision.
Okay.
And I'm using the one that for every model, as long as I can
You
see...
know, I'm going to just check this for you. I believe you have it right, but I will check the rule for you to make sure you're not doing something silly. Because the fact that someone's asking that makes me wonder if
Yeah, we
it
could,
wrong.
we could have it wrong, or maybe. I will start. So let's see. He's 2 attacks.
Do you know where it is? The rule I'm looking for?
Oh, yeah.
It's back.
It's of course they didn't put it, you know.
All right, so I'm looking at Death Visions of Sanguini. I'm pretty sure that it only works for Death Company characters, but we are just double checking right now to make sure that we are doing it right.
Can you see an infantry
I don't want to help players wrong, but we'll see how many.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. Cool.
You just give me a...
How many? So you need the total number of chain swords, for example?
Right, so we'll just start here. So he's got
Definitely
2 attacks, 3 on the charge. I'm not in Assault Doctrine.
However,
And you
Death
got
Company
plus,
do get
3, so he has 6.
under built, including +1 attack.
So yeah, 7.
And also can't fall back or do actions.
Okay. You can roll your chain swords together, right?
Yeah.
So there's 7 there, and so these would be, well, let's say they're both the same 7 as 21, but he had +2 more, so 23 should be 24.
Okay, here's 22.
Okay. They have no reroll, right?
No.
Is it on theirs?
Oh,
That was good. You can bump.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, 2 more behind
Just
that.
want to make sure the players know that the death visions is for characters only, infantry character.
Apparently the death vision thing is only for characters.
That would be a.
If that's the case, then okay, yeah. I just didn't see anything calling out characters. Once per battle, when this model is selected to fight, it can use 1 death vision listed below. And
Does the unit not have the right keyword?
I'll double check. I thought they have death visions, but maybe I'm wrong.
I would appreciate taking like 15 attacks fewer.
Oh yeah, no, it's yeah. Black
Okay.
Rage and Angels of Death. I don't have.
So 2 attacks, 3 on the charge, 4 with the chainsword, so 12 attacks total.
Okay.
You got that cleared up.
Well, that makes
Yeah.
my life easier. I
When
thought that
you-
was
it's-
ridiculous, and I was like, man.
Yeah, I was
Company.
unaware of that.
Death vision is a rule given to characters. The death company themselves don't have death visions.
They just have Black Rage.
Still pretty good. If he has any death company characters, but it didn't look like he did. Still, I expect that this death company squad is going to kill quite a few guardsmen, almost certainly enough to make them take a nasty morale check. And I think that's good. You know, taking this construct unit down to a very manageable size where it can be easily killed later means that once he kills the first unit through all of the defensive buffs, he doesn't have a second unit to just give all these buffs to. Attack the weaker unit first means you don't have to go through the ordeal of a formidable guardsman unit twice.
Okay.
Okay, and Tarkus.
Okay.
Okay.
They're way less blendery.
Yeah, they're way less blendery when you play the rules right.
Yeah, I know. You stop cheating, right?
Yeah.
Jeez, Harrison, what a cheater.
A little bit of shade back and forth between the players. They're good buddies, so it's all in fun. Looks like there's a decent amount of guardsmen left, however. I wonder if that was the unit that had the invuln, perhaps? Maybe it was, because it looks like the unit that was on the center objective is no longer there. So I'm guessing that the Plasma Inceptors just scooped that one up, which means it may not have had the invuln. So
If they did
the fact
have
that
the
he
info,
gave against
there would
Starfist
be many
makes
less
me
of them standing here.
Yeah, and the Thunderhammer.
Mm-hmm. So plenty of conscripts left. I can't tell if any models got wrapped, but with how densely packed they were, I'd be surprised. If he's able to just fall back and act like normal, or, well, fall back without having to spend 2 command points, then that death company is almost certainly going to evaporate.
Okay, I need 5s again. Okay, cool, they did nothing.
Alright, the conscripts did nothing in close combat. I would have been, frankly, disappointed if they'd gotten a wound
They
through.
got some extra movement to get towards that bottom side objective the next turn.
I imagine is exactly what he's going for. He really wants to make sure that he's screening out all these Blood Angel reserves. So on his turn, he's going to want to back up off that combat, spread out a little bit, and then put as many guns as possible into the Death Company to ensure that they are no longer there.
And when do you score the?
I give it to you. I believe it's the end of your turn. Okay. Points. It could be end of your turn. It could be command phase. Doesn't really matter. We're both gonna get 15.
And my relentless.
Oh yeah, you just helped before.
All right, so it looks like Harrison's going to get his priority target as well as his relentless assault.
Not by much.
And then I think Oath of Moment was his last secondary. If so, he'll probably just get the one for not failing a morale check or falling back, but it doesn't look like he's got the center yet. However, since he is going second, it seems fairly likely that he'll be able to score Oath of Moment a couple of times throughout the game. So it doesn't need to go hard on it turn 1. There are vehicles and characters to kill. He can probably get a pretty decent score on Oath of Moment, and he's already off to a good start on both target and relentless assault.
This is my long board edge, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Of course it is.
Oh, no, it's not. You only got halfway. You have half of this and all of that.
But it's still your longest board edge in total.
All right, so it looks like they're currently discussing which is the long board edge. For priority target, it is actually the short edge,
44.
but it looks like they're discussing that right now.
For priority target, the short edge is the.
It is. That is. Yeah, that's what that. Yeah, it's always the one that you have more of in your zone.
Okay. I misunderstood that one.
Yeah. So 30s here. Can you real quick just make sure I'm angling this right? Sorry.
And the reason why that matters so much is that it affects where Zach can bring in his reserves. So as long as his reserves aren't in Harrison's deployment zone, they can be within 6 inches of any table edge besides his battlefield edge. So you got a lot of outflanking units. It looks like a lot of them are going to come up in the top left of your screen. With 18 inches of rapid fire, that's actually going to be enough. 12 inches would be hard, but I think with 18 inches of rapid fire, he'll actually be able to get quite a few plasma gun shots into these units that step out. I think absolutely Zach has to go for a killing blow right now. There's Space Marines in line of sight. He's not going to get a better chance than this. I think one Russ and the heavy bolts from the Manticore probably take care of the Death Company.
Yeah.
He needs the other 2 Russ and a lot of plasma, as well as the Manticore missiles, to hammer that big ball of Space Marines in the middle to try to thin it down as much as possible. And again, 18 inches of rapid fire versus 12 is going to be a huge difference here. It does look like Zach should get a 10 on primary as well, which is certainly not a bad place to be. But as long as he's conscious of screening out the 9 inches, and then he can place his reserves down to help with this, Zach may be able to get a pretty good sequence here. It's going to come down to how much Harrison has left and what his reserves can do. But there's a lot of firepower that should be coming to bear on the Space Marines right now. We'll see if it's enough.
Interesting that he didn't use any of the 3 Blade Guard squads to just one of them touch the ruin and or the objective there, and then bring up north, because he has the bottom side on lock with the infiltrators here, and because he can't bring strategic reserves into his deployment.
It sounds like Harrison may have thought that it was the other way. That the bottom edge was his battlefield edge, but that is not the case in this mission. So maybe a little bit of a miscue by Harrison there, if that's what he was thinking. Otherwise, you can try to screen it out, but frankly, with 18 inches of rapid fire, it is a lot harder than you would expect. We're all used to screening out the 12. 18 is quite a different monster.
It's also a big difference that there's no forest, because if it was a forest there, I'd easily move Advanced Blade Guard behind that thing.
Absolutely,
And
that
just
would
have
have been
them
his advantage
screen
as well.
-1 to hit with their defensive.
Yeah. Forest versus craters does make quite a difference in this instance. It looks like that conscript squad is just fanning out, taking up as much real estate as possible, spreading around the Death Company squad. That's exactly what you'd expect. Again, there's enough guns here that I would anticipate significantly less Death Company in about 2 minutes. But there's going to be some reserves coming in first, and we'll see how much damage these guard tanks can get. Are a lot of visible targets here. I think what Zach wants to do is start off by splitting fire and try to draw out the transhuman. Or if he splits fire enough, maybe Harrison waits on the transhuman and he gets to thin down everything before he starts committing big guns like Demolisher cannons and Manticore missiles. Because there are 6 different plasma squads, transhumaning any one of them is nice, but not a huge deal.
Frankly, I think it's just always going to go on the Inceptors here, and you're just going to let the Blade Guard be defensive with their native defense.
I do like the native defense. Far up Envoln and Tulip Armor is great, but against plasma guns wounding on 2s, that's gonna add up.
But I think you need to keep the plasma centers alive.
That makes sense. We will see what this ends up looking like. All right, so it looks like another Demolisher cannon. They're all making sure that these Russes are only moving 5 inches, not the full 10, so that they get the double tap on their big gun. That's anytime a Lehman Russ moves half of its distance or less, it gets to fire its top turret cannon twice instead of once.
Just because of the shape of the ruins, I would like to see at least Harrison use this north side of his deployment zone a bit more. Essentially, that turn 1 movement, you really want to be getting behind one of these ruins rather than the exact center, because the firing lane for the guard tanks would be either they walk all the way up through the middle and then try and shoot down it, or they're in the charges for the next turn. I think this is going to be a really tough position for Harrison.
Yeah, if this shooting phase goes the way that the guard want it to, that's definitely going to be good. And it looks like he's just checking out his 9s. That's exactly what you want to do. He already moved 1 Manticore. Again, they can move and fire, no problem at all. And if he screens out well, he's not really worried about line of sight either. So looks like Zach's just spreading out the guardsmen, trying to take up as much real estate as possible, kind of try to limit Harrison's reserves. You also really, as the guard player, want to try to limit that relentless assault as much as possible. If you can kill the Death Company here and then start hammering other things while pushing your reserves and screens forwards, there's every opportunity that the Blood Angels won't be able to make the deployment zone this turn. Get on the primary early, try to dominate them as much as possible, knowing that there's a strong primary coming late game from the Blood Angels. You really want to limit their secondaries just to try to give yourself an advantage. So hammer the units in front of you, screen out to stop them from getting your deployment zone, and you may find yourself in a good spot as the guard player.
Yeah, frankly, I would use one of the plasma squads to finish off the screening at the north side here, so that no sanguinary guard are making a charge down into the deployment zone from the top side.
Exactly. And it looks like one of the infantry blobs, that one right by the center, hasn't moved yet. I don't know if Zach wants to move it any closer, but it looks like it hasn't moved yet. Some dice being rolled, so maybe these are advance rolls. But definitely he can use his reserves as part of the screening effort. Looks like the guardsmen are moving out now. So he's going to spread out, create a nice bubble in front of his army. Looks like he's leaving a little gap, but again, with the special weapon teams, he can trail a few of the last runners back relatively easily. He can almost certainly do something to make sure that he is covering that spot with his reserves. I'm guessing that's what he's going to do, but right now the big blob in the center is moving. As far as I can tell, that's going to be the last of his units. Maybe a couple characters around. So after that, we should be seeing some reserves from Zach. Again, he's got a pretty good opportunity here. He really wants to take advantage of it as much as possible. Alrighty here. So, yep, more conscripts moving still. It's always tedious, the movement phase of guard, but just wait for the dice to start rolling.
Yeah. Frankly, if Harrison had moved advance a Blade Guard squad even closer to the middle, I probably would have used the conscript to charge up there to further spread out, because so much of the Blood Angel army, or at least of it now, he could have completely pushed back Harrison's reserves if he made a charge move into like 3 random Blade Guard. Of course, if they had the defensive buffs.
Yeah, of course. You wouldn't do that casually, but that would have been quite a bold play there. You're gonna rely on ordering them to move, move, move. Now, conscripts only get ordered to move, move, move on a 4+, so it's not a guarantee in the slightest, but you might as well toss the order out. And there's probably a couple of infantry squads as well, so you can order the conscripts first, see how well they do, and then move on to the next. Now, there is something to consider is that if all those plasma squads are coming in over there, he does want to get the company commanders around to give them some orders. He does have one company commander in reserve, I believe, but he may want to get a second one over there to at least get the command squads operating.
Move himself.
Or you have the other officer move him. So then he still has both his orders intact. So if an officer sprints over there and another one outflanks, that would be 4 orders. If you get 4 of the 6 units where you're rolling ones to hit, you could even spend a CP to get a 5th one, but I don't think that'd be necessary. If you get 4 of them, and especially the 3 command squads rerolling ones, then you're in a great spot. You just want, because this is a turn, you want to front load these CP, get as much damage as possible. I don't think Zach should be screening, but not thinking about defense as much. Just try to focus on offense as much as possible. Kill some Space Marines here. And if you kill enough early game like this, leverage the objectives later on, because Harrison just may not have enough bodies. That's going to be very important for the guard here. It looks like Zach is hunting out his plasma guardsmen. I assume he is not actually deploying them in his own deployment zone. But we should be seeing them pretty quickly. Again, he's already measured dice out for where they can go in the top of your screen. I would assume that that's where the plasma is going to go. They've got great targets there, rapid fire into all of these, not defenseless, but all these blood angels who are certainly going to get shot a lot.
Yeah, he was especially measuring to the plasma inceptors.
Now, I would actually expect that he's going to bring, I would say, however many orders he's going to get, all those squads should go on the top. But I think that he should actually bring maybe 1 or 2 special weapon teams down on the bottom flank just to get more engaged in all fronts. And unless he took domination, and to put some shots into the death company just to make sure they die. You really don't want death companies in light cover, make a save here and there. Guard shooting is great in volume, but any one attack just may not work if you roll a couple 2s or 3s and don't have rerolls.
Or low on the number of shots, it happens
Exactly.
to be the turn that Demolisher doesn't roll well,
And so there's 3 death company, and oh, by the way, this Thunderhammer just knocked a tank right off its tracks.
yep, so or got into the mana cores.
Yeah. I would say, like, to further push his brains out, gives Zach absolutely no good options on where to, or give Harrison no good options on where to bring his reserves. All right.
He's
Setting a lot of
bringing
flags
in
on the top. They all go there.
2 special weapon squads and 1 command squad.
In the Blood Angel list that I play, this is what I like the Vanguard vets to be doing, is because they have the native inbuilt defense, they can go screen up at the top side and push back things like this and still potentially survive.
No, it looks like he's placing them quite far forward. It look like it's within 6 inches of his own deployment edge for that strategic reserves, but I might be wrong here.
He doesn't have scions, right?
No, I don't think there are any scions on the list. We can just scroll just to make sure. Yeah, these should just be command squads and special weapon teams. Maybe we're misjudging the distance. Sometimes that happens, but my eyeball tells me he's a little bit farther than 6 inches up. Again, with 18 inches of rapid fire, I don't think this will affect the actual offense it has, but it does matter for screening. So Pickles, can you just make sure that all those guardsmen are within 6 inches of that table edge?
He apparently
A
thought it
couple
was
guards are gonna
9.
bounce
He's
back
gonna
a little
fix them.
bit. Yeah, still 18 inches of rapid fire means you're gonna get plenty of shots. If you can transhuman on the plasma scepters, then those light guard are gonna be right for plasma pickings. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's the direction it chooses to go. All right, so he's putting a couple units on the edge to get that engaged off fronts point. He's pre-measuring that, which is absolutely should be doing instead of not be in the deployment zone. So there should be a small little triangle where you can put a unit not in the deployment zone in the table quarter. Just needs to put one 4-man command squad there, and he's golden. He'll get his engaged off fronts. Now, this is almost certainly a one-way trip for these plasma gunners. You would expect that any surviving Blood Angels are going to descend on them with a vengeance, but frankly, that spot is relatively exposed. That's going to be an easy line of sight of several Lehman Russ, as well as potentially a Manticore if it wants to spend a command point. So I don't think that's the worst thing if a couple of these plasma squads go down, get murdered, and then invite some retribution for the Blood Angels. Now, I think the real interesting question now is how many units is Zach putting down? We'll wait till he's done with
It's
his
3.
reserves here to ask exactly what went down here. He has 3 command squads. That's 4 plasma guns, ballistic skill 3, and 3 special weapon teams. That's 3 plasma guns, ballistic skill 4. Certainly,
If you were dropping these guardsmen here, what would be your priority? Alright, split fire first, see if you can bait out the transhuman, and then just focus on what doesn't have it, or do you say, I'm going to take care of these plasma scepters because it's one of the main threats for killing these conscripts?
So what I think I start with is right away, I take the center Lehman Russ, put all of it. Actually, I think I start with the plasma, honestly. I It looks like those Lehman Russ have very clean fire lines. I don't think they're gonna get pulled out of it easily. If any of them don't, then obviously you start there. Probably Snap Death Company at the bottom. You want that done before you move on to the big stuff. So have the Russ there, put every gun there, and just try to finish them off. Put the heavy Manticores there. Um, I think I start off by splitting fire, putting multi
Move here.
demolish your cannons into
Alright,
the
cool. So I
Inceptor.
went ahead and destruck over there within 6 inches of the board edge because
Just immediately
apparently
start running on
book
2, wait for
outflank
the
is not as
transhuman.
good
Whatever happens, everything else.
as White Scars outflank, and I didn't know. So I brought in 3 squads over there, 2 special weapon teams with 3 plasma each, a unit of a command squad with 4 plasma, and a company commander.
Okay, so it looks like he's saving some
I'm
plasma
gonna jump
squads.
around.
I personally would have probably gone to kill more,
Now
but
we'll see what
frankly,
Psychic do.
there's a lot of Blood Angels in
So
reserve right
this
now, so I
model,
don't
guys,
hate the idea of having
is
those plasma commands
a
left,
weapon drop.
especially when Sanguinary Guard are in reserve. These plasma squads are excellent at killing those Sanguinary Guard, so I can't fault them for keeping a few units
He also
off.
wants the guarantee he can have a couple more units for engaged
And
Yeah.
they get
later.
+1 to their save on a
I
6.
don't hate it at all.
Cool. There you go. All goes off. Orders.
Alright, looks like he passed all his psychic powers. I assume that's the front conscript screen that just got a bunch of spells, same as before, and now he's doing his orders.
Managed to give orders here. We're gonna see if these conscripts want to take an order. They do. They're gonna move. 5 inches. So they go 11.
So yeah, as I said, he started off with that conscript squad. He gets to move. That means this unit, which I'll assume is the one that got all the spells, is going to get to move again. We'll see how close he wants to get to the Blood Angels. It looks like he's pushing right up, maybe just to limit those reserves as much as possible. But that does mean that literally anything that wants to charge into conscripts is going to do it this turn. But also, by pushing the conscripts up, it does kind of indicate where the charges are going to happen. And again, if they're happening far enough away from the tanks, that's frankly not a bad thing. You don't want the tanks to get accidentally tagged by a Paladin or Consolidate move. You just want to make sure that you're not leaving room for things to charge over you. However, I think most of Harrison's flying units run reserves. This is actually not that risky. With Blade Guard on the center, they're going to have to go through the guardsmen, not over around them. So just spreading out the conscripts here, the objective is not a bad play at all.
No, but in our last game, with everything on the table, and even
Pickles, can you update the primary and secondary for the players on the actual stream?
to hide things realistically.
Yeah, give me a second.
At an opportunity.
Whatever survives here is going to need to make a charge onto the far part of the conscript blob and get behind this ruin and tag the cover there.
Yeah.
That's already what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and there's definitely the opportunity for that.
Do I have any models in there that I
Even so, if that's only Blade Guard, that's still going to leave them far enough away that they're not going to get to a meaningful target for a couple more turns.
I think they just need to be in the center because remember he's still playing for bottom of the turn primary here.
That's
if he has
true.
that triangle,
And he does have Oath of Moment.
and exactly.
So we'll see what gets shot here.
Yeah.
The one-man Blade Guard squad, if something gets chipped down, is a prime target for Oath of Moment. So wait to see what units get fiddled down. Whatever one's smallest, don't try to heal it. Throw it in the middle, get Oath of Moment, and die. But have everything else heal it up as much as possible, do some damage.
My score was 6 because I had no primary.
So just 6 segment.
Yeah, and then beginning of turn 2, I'll give you the score at the end of my
Give
turn.
him both scores since you're keeping score.
Harrison has 7 at the end of his turn 1.
8 or 7?
At the end of turn 1, it looks like it was 6 to 7.
Oh, 8. Sorry.
Yep, I think Zach got his domination because I don't think he took engage on fronts.
Okay, so I have
And he got his priority target. Harrison got his priority target, and he got
he'll order them. So I don't think I have any
Relentless Assault.
here.
I think Zach got a 10 on primary here. Frankly, it looks like Harrison's going to get the same as
Sorry,
maybe some of this firepower will be able to strip something off depending on what game record goes. Again, if he can bait out that
other orders.
transhuman, 2 manticores may be enough to kill an infiltrating squad sitting behind an objective.
They'll advance 2 inches, so they'll just.
Move.
More
Setting
move,
up for
more.
a second unit on the objective just in case the conscripts get destroyed.
Absolutely, which is frankly not unlikely. He's probably thinking right now that he needs to kill as many plasma interceptors as possible. That definitely would be the unit that could remove these guardsmen.
Yep.
I actually think that he may want to save a guardsman squad behind a wall here so that he can make sure he can do this next turn.
A squad of one squad of the special weapons will reroll ones to hit.
I'm sure at least one unit will stay off the table. And that means that Zach is probably going to need to screen out next turn as well. But he does have a few command squads in
This is a
reserve,
command squad,
so that'll help.
It looks like he still has at least one guard squad at the top part and probably
Another one down there.
one down in the
Yeah,
bottom.
I think only one got scooped up early, so I think he's probably still in a fine position.
I know.
All right, I'm excited to see what this damage looks like.
So
I've never been a hard ass for that shit.
no, you and I don't play that way. I mean, especially that's like, why would I say?
I imagine all the heavy bolters are going to go into the Death Company just because with no feel, no pain, that's the best place to go for
I'm
flat.
gonna start
2
with
damage.
the squad that does not have reroll ones overcharging into the front unit of Blade Guard.
Okay.
All right, so going into the Blade Guard first, no split fire.
And this is just one of the plasma units.
He kills himself. One kills himself.
Looks like 4 hits. This is just a special weapon team.
3 at -3 for 2.
With 3 invulns on the Blade Guard. Every 2 failed saves is not going to be great.
Okay, this is 4 damage.
All right, so 1 Blade Guard's taking 4 damage. It's got to feel no pain, but only a 6 up, which means I would expect it to die here.
And he'll take the closest one. Just maybe take it.
Yeah, looks like he's measuring out his Apothecary Aura right now, making sure that he's covering all his units.
Tight.
Oh, looks like it might actually be a little closer than Harrison wants it to be.
And this is why, you know, taking the sanguinary creep is great because you can get that sweet count as a small doctrine. However, it is not primary, so cannot take a box of Spiritum.
1 no rend.
Go to a 6-inch.
Okay.
No choices there.
This tank commander is gonna do its
Looks like that was the Lasguns finishing off that, so the second squad is up there.
is gonna put everything into your interceptors.
Oh, this is leaving rest committing everything to the interceptors. I assume he's just trying to get the transhuman out now.
Roll 2. 7 shots into a 1.
Reroll the 2 into a 1 for the number of shots, but that's okay.
Looks like transhuman was spent.
Yep.
What?
Hitting on 3s, reroll
No, this
1s.
is a hit. I was hit.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. He did. He did. 3 wounds at Ren 3, so just 6 ups. Okay. First one's good for 3 damage.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. Plasma Scepter about to take Feel No Pains.
Second one's good for 6 damage.
Ooh, that looks like 1 Interceptor just went down.
2 dead.
Just.
Just barely. Wrong combo there.
Yeah.
The multi-meltus. 3 hits. Looking for 4s because transhuman.
He lost 2
Two
there, actually.
ones go through. You don't get a save. First one's good for 3. Second one's good for 3. Okay, that's the squad, right?
That's a squad.
Okay.
All right, that's a lot of Plasma Scepters dead
I didn't
straight
think
through
I would get that
transhuman.
kind of efficiency.
Huge swing right there because now there's nothing left for transhuman. All the rest of these guns are going to use if they're shooting Blade Guard.
And the Chief Apothecary won't be bringing in about.
That's right. It doesn't
Very-
matter T4, so it's your transhuman.
No, I was just remembering transhuman.
Oh yeah, it was force, straight force.
Looks like the second commander is going to go in.
Yeah. Honestly,
Pull
though,
back and the unit of is the unit of
it
the
looks
unit of 3 is in range of debuff.
damage
Right? It's the
for
back
Zach were
unit.
pretty good.
Back units in range.
Honestly,
So
the number of
two
wounds you
demolisher
get
cannons.
unrealistic. There was a lot of high strength, high AP shots come through from those
He
guys.
still has a whole nother Lehman Russ too.
Exactly. I think that Plasma Scepter unit was going to die one way or another. This just frees up the
The
Manticores for
4
more.
rolls? Yeah, of course. So that failed, and that failed.
And we can really see the firepower guard can put out is frankly ferocious.
Okay.
This is over.
Oh, that was the first unit.
Second unit. Second unit.
Second unit.
We go through.
One
So
plasma
first
squad
one
shot.
good for 2. Second one is so 4 on the first guy from the first 2. He gets feel no pain, right?
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like a blade guard is taking.
Okay, and then the next guy takes 5.
Okay.
This might be a wounded squad trying to finish it off.
So 2 of them are dead.
Oh, yep.
All right, so 2 more blade guard died from whatever unit that was. I don't know if that was the same squad, but there's 3 blade guard left total.
Next squad of
I think it was because he wanted to leave the front squad for the plasma.
I put more stuff over there than I had.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, the interest here is
It's 1 and 2.
covering.
1, 2, and 1, 1, man.
Is there a point where the
I think the
enough
company
blade
that's
guard-
the ruin.
That's fine, but if
Doesn't even
one Manticore
himself
kills
up. In
the
fact,
company
they're
veterans, a Manticore gets a
feeling
full shot.
enthusiastic
I
because
could
they
probably be
just-
doing
they
that
saw this
right now
line.
just to see if it happens.
On that
Yeah.
one guy, 5 plasmas.
2 blade guards from one squad, 1 from another left.
This is no single.
What a covering character at this point.
Is it no? Yeah. 6 damage.
And
Alright.
he's no longer within range of the apocalypse.
Okay. So yeah, he just falls over.
Yeah.
Cool.
On just one,
And
the lone
into
blade guard
the,
is super dead.
this
2
is
blade
the
guard left.
first one with the 2-man.
Squad to fire.
Here's the first 3. I roll the 1. Okay, and the next guy. Okay, 2 doesn't work. That's us. 2.
All right. Oh, actually, Zach saving some of these units to come in next turn may actually be plenty. He's doing really good damage right now.
So 1 dies and 1's got 1 wound left.
There's 1 blade guard with 1 wound left. It's
Okay, so this guy's gonna put his heavy bolter to the guy with 1 wound and the rest right here.
Okay.
Alright, so now he's going to try
One wound.
Death Company that are in front of him.
Yep.
This is where he does not want to roll poorly because
he's
doesn't
still got
really
the
Into Death Company.
want to put the Manticore into the Death.
So 3 Death Company, it goes punches straight through and it's D6 plus 2.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
first one is 6, 4, and 7.
Okay.
Just pick
Oh,
three.
man, I get that, but still D6 plus 2 for the multi-melt
He
is.
could pop a 5 up here,
I don't think so.
but
Effort.
Zach actually rolled all the damage ready,
Yeah,
and it was 6-4 something else that you don't want to see.
All right, and then these are the Demolisher cannons. This is the second tank commander.
Reroll ones.
Almost certainly doing nasty things to the last 2
And
Death Company. I would expect this to be them.
6 6-ups on those 2 guys. For D6 each.
And hand.
Okay.
Nope.
You're
That is the end of the
tall.
right away.
Got the read.
Yeah,
Okay, it's all
Rise by
all
that.
got in this game.
Anyway,
I've got 2 mana cards to shoot.
They're more of a trading piece.
Yep.
You're not really expecting to try to get in.
it's just a nice threat where if you mess it
So I
up,
can't shoot them. I can shoot a single blade guard. Or I can shoot these guys who are on an objective and actually have been on my mind because it's worth
Alright,
5
so-
points. So I'm going to mana core these infiltrators.
Okay.
think about infiltrators.
7 shots.
Now, I'm wondering is will Harrison use the smoke screen
Actually,
stratagem?
I'll fish with the 3.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
It's a 3.
Hope so.
See, can't change the
Doesn't
last
look-
man. Enforce.
Yep, hitting on 4s.
Well,
Moving on
Well,
2
that's
here.
how it's
And
going to be.
go-
5 minus 2, so 5, 4 up because you're in cover.
Ooh, 5 of them.
yeah.
So it's flat 3. So 3 go.
Yep.
Next mana core
Nice.
gets
Mana
7
core.
shots. I'll reroll 2.
Here's that one of the shots.
7 shots.
So he needs to kill 2. It's fairly realistic.
4 missed that time.
So
hey.
Yep.
2 hits,
3 more for it.
3 hits. All right, so 3 more saved. It looks like.
Okay, so 1 dies.
One dies, so there's 1
Sergeant is
infiltrator
left.
left.
One
That is
more
morale.
than I needed.
That is nice. Infiltrator for the next round of reserves.
Yep.
As well, I mean, it's a whole other Manticore to
You want
go
your morale
kill
for
them.
the guy?
It's 10.
Minus 4. Don't roll it. Don't
Okay,
roll
That,
it.
that's something that did to happen.
Yeah.
It really did.
That's a 6.
CP it, I guess.
Okay.
Wonder what their
I mean, you really want the 5 points though.
was that a morale check?
He's
Yeah,
He cannot.
Yes,
that was
that's
morale, the one guy. The blade guard
Cannot
can fail,
re-roll
everything else can fail. So
Yeah,
every
he
turn,
cannot
I
re-roll that
get,
morale.
3 for domination. I get 3 for blade guard.
What's that?
Make sure that he knows that you cannot use a CP reroll on a morale check.
Apparently, you can't use a CP
Okay,
Okay.
he's gone. Never mind.
That's
That
such
means the squad's gone.
Or do Space Marines still reroll their morale?
No, they don't. You ignore modifiers, so when you take attrition at below half, you still need ones, but
Great.
you don't.
only great. And word bears.
That was on the thing listed.
Yes, let's not forget
The word bears.
Well, that's
That's a oh man, we're on the morale
that's a
check.
huge swing. That's the defending the bottom side from reserves, holding that objective,
Mm.
5 points on primary.
So I got three
Well,
square target,
it's
three
actually
for
more.
domination,
Uh,
and at the top of your second turn, you're gonna hold one, so you'll get 5 points.
So only 5 on primary for Harrison. There is that one blade guard left with a single wound, which means that the chief apothecary could heal it to 2.
He won't get
But
rerolled,
honestly,
and he'll get
he's able to
rerolled.
take primary.
Yeah,
I think that
that one blade guard.
And Assault Doctrine?
now Harrison kind of has to bring in a lot of reserves because otherwise he's just not going to have enough to take another round shooting.
No. And this is why reserving too many things all at once, especially against army like that can screen like guard, it's a very, very dangerous thing to do. Because right now, 10 Van
Will you be my friend?
as well as sanguinary guard could be popping out and killing quite a bit of this guard army.
Absolutely.
Frankly,
If they were behind that wall, they
Yes.
would just automatically make these charges. As it is, though, Blood Angels do have a +1 charge innately,
Yep.
which means that there's
8-inch charges.
8-inch charges. You know, you've got a spear roll somewhere.
Yep.
You could probably hit 2, maybe even 3 charges at a deep without that much trouble.
I assume
and
he for sure brings in the plasma scepters here and uses the strat for +1 to hit.
Yep. With a captain nearby, that just 30 shots, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, try to just take this big conscript bomb in the center and decimate it,
Yep.
then charge a healed blade guard squad in, try to get onto that objective, contest it. You really can't let Zach get a 15 on primary after the turn that he just had.
Yep. And I think because he actually brought that second guard squad forward, and there's all these little command squads, wrapping things is very, very possible, especially for that big Vanguard squad.
Yep. Yeah, if the Vanguard is it, I wonder if he combat squatted them or if it's
Yeah, I didn't hear.
okay.
So he probably combat one. That makes more sense.
Mhm.
But still, getting them into, to kill each one kills like a command squad, wraps a different one.
Yeah.
Tags into it
Yeah, especially those little command squads.
because
at
they're
the
all
top.
there's plenty of space in between the models.
If you could wrap 2 special weapon teams, that'd be huge.
Yep. I think he needs to go down at this point.
I think so.
Right now he's going to the position I was saying where you make the charge behind that ruin, stay in cover.
Mhm.
He needs to get the company vets out there if he wants to bring the characters up, though. Otherwise, he's relying on 8-inch charges from behind that area.
Infiltrator should be over on that side to block my deep strike
I
shooting.
probably still go for 1, honestly,
Coming 6 inches and only
on
go
that side, and set it up so it's within 9 inches of this middle conscript unit and then the bottom one, so that I can decide if I need to make the charge in there to protect the characters, if the company vets can't get over there, or if I want to get to this objective and string back to it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you could probably deep strike. I would probably deep strike both Vanguard veteran squads on that home objective. Maybe both the sanguinary guard, try to hit some charges. And you can go and then wrap some guardsmen. Bare minimum, make me spend command points to free up a unit, but even better if you can wrap 2 units. And they are relatively close together. I can't tell the squad break apart, but it seems doable.
Yeah.
We'll see if Harrison tries to go for that play or if he just focuses on preserving his forces. Because right now, I don't afford to take a second turn on what just happened.
No.
Now, Zach rolled pretty decently. Certainly nothing went wrong for him, but frankly, that's a lot of shooting. Like, you can't be shocked when that many guard guns kills a lot of space marines.
It's a lot of William 2s with that high strength.
Exactly.
Only Williams getting transmuted. Units that can get transmuted are just going to be that. The
Yep. This guard list is tailor-made to kill space marines on.
Oh, I'm going first. I have guardsmen. This sounds great.
that lack of guard will be a huge issue here because you just need a couple wraps off, and that is going to be Blood Angel units in the middle of your army.
That is where you don't want to be.
Yeah, and I think it looks like
these guys just
behind the ruin, which is smart. And they're still safely.
I'm very screwed right now.
So looks like Harrison outlook on the game.
Right.
Pickles, did Zach not get any primary? I would assume he got at least 10 points.
Zach, did you score any primary?
I scored 10 at the beginning of turn 2. Harrison scored 5 at the beginning of his turn. So at the end of my turn, my secondaries are 14, and my primaries is 10 at the end of my second turn.
All right, so Zach's updating his score there. Yeah, and the 14 in the first 2 turns, he's gotten his domination twice. I don't know what his third one is. He could have gone for deploy scramblers. Not sure if he actually went for that though. Either way, he's perfectly good for the first 2 turns. He can probably keep getting domination for at least 2 more turns. He's in position move on
over
to
screen.
several different objectives next
You
turn.
could screen with
Even
me
if the
right
Blood
now.
Angels are able to
I mean, I was
take down one of them
actually,
in the
you know, there's
center,
real art to
the
screaming in a
confidence
huge
below
area
could
with flames.
Can
one
you
of
also
the
walk and breathe
get
at
that
the
down.
same time?
I could walk
And again,
breathe,
such a
my
boon for
nose
the guard
while
player
chewing
that's
gum.
a guaranteed 50 points.
I mean, it should be in
Okay.
almost every case.
He's got Obstacle Lehman Russ around to move on to it if he needs to. It looks like there's an infantry squad out of line of
That
sight.
was my plan.
Yeah,
Pretty
no,
good spot for that.
I gave you several choices and they're all wrong.
so I've got to deal with this.
Right now, it looks like Harrison is breaking down his target priority. Yeah, just pre-measuring out. He knows that those guard squads with the plasma, he can't leave them alone. They did too much damage. But also, anything that goes after them could be sacrificial if he doesn't get something like the double wrap we just described.
This is not
Yeah,
the right play,
absolutely.
but it's the only play I
Double
see.
wrap here.
Sure.
So
And that's why
It's a
setting
plan.
wraps
It's a
elsewhere on the
plan, but
conscript
I don't
is,
like it. You're like, this
Zach is
sucks.
just efficiently. So Blood Angel stuff would survive in that case, and that's really what needs to happen: is Blood Angel stuff surviving in the middle of the table here to interact the next turn.
Absolutely.
fan of this play, but I don't see
Looks
another.
like the things that are moving right now, I think those are the
Are you
characters. I
looking
think
for Lozicus?
maybe just trying to
Are you looking
maximize
to
damage
God
here.
Lozicus?
Yeah,
Um,
basically.
I'll
Okay,
flow over
here comes
plasma.
Deep Strike.
That makes me think that that's the jump pack character. I would assume that's the captain, maybe the sanguinary priest. I don't think he had jump pack though. But we'll just double check that now.
No, the priest.
So yeah, I think the only jump pack character would then be the chapter master.
That's the
And
Terra
Fiston is in the
This guy?
center.
So must be
Terra
yeah.
Captain, who I'm probably misplaying right now.
Harrison's setting him on a trip that may be one way, but he does a lot of attacks. If he's just going for damage, the Teeth of Terra is certainly going to get damage done. But we'll see.
Really needs to make that charge.
He could also be a backup because if he makes the charges here, the Teeth of Terra captain could just not charge. It'll be within 3 inches of these units. They'll be wrapped in combat.
Yeah.
That means that he can just hold still and be in great position next turn.
Or he can tag if he gets the wraps off. Then you can
Yeah,
just
then maybe he
in
could
there.
tag into it. If there's 3 units there, if all 3 units charge one thing, well, they'll kill it, and then consolidate wraps and other things. The Teeth of Terra captain is just also another model in case only one squad makes it. It could help with the trapping.
Who's going to babysit this
And
objective now?
over there, ready to contest the other objective over there.
Exactly, because that's the rights of the War Man. That
Yep.
means he can actually make these pushes next turn.
Yep.
So we'll see if he can hit some charges into that area. This may not be too bad. But I think it is a lot going to come down on that charge phase.
100%.
And I think the Plasma Inceptors, I can't tell which units deep striking now. It looks like Inceptors.
No, I think those are the 4-man sanguinary guards.
Sanguinary Guard.
That's okay though, because they're shooting at guardsmen. Whenever the Plasma Inceptors come down, I don't think they actually have to come near the captain. Just because they're going to be hitting on 2s. Rerolling 1s is nice, but they're not going to overcharge if they're just shooting guardsmen.
I think that's why he set him up 3 inches away, 3.1 away.
They are one squad.
So when the
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, Inceptor's over there.
And he's deep striking directly onto the over there
Yes.
with
I think the commentary
what
is
main-
say that you wanted your Inceptor to
sanguinary?
shoot conscripts, but I could be wrong.
That's a little low. I mean, he can try to charge conscript if he fails that directly into guns with us.
yes.
I
I would have liked
personally
a north side charge where you're 9 away from both squads.
I would actually just honestly just put them behind the wall.
I'd rather put I'd rather put a Vanguard back there, frankly.
Will cause them to not be there.
Well, either way, they're getting shot by Manticores only. They're just gonna have a 3-up save in cover with a 2-up armor,
Yeah, yeah.
and then either one way or another, they can jump out next turn and get charges guaranteed. Lifting it this turn. If you make it, super bad if you fail. If he fails that charge down on that bottom right objective, that could lead to whatever's there is almost gonna be getting shot by 2 Leading Russ.
All right, that looks like the bottom side one.
Yep.
And while we are finishing up the movement here, I do want to remind people that this is a charity event. This is part of Hammer Out Cancer, and thank you so much for everyone who's watching.
I rolled
This is the charity hammer, and what we're looking to do is raise as much money as possible. I think as of last night, we were over $8,000 for the Fred Hutchins Cancer Research Institute, as well as to support the family of Vincent Price, the Seattle area, who definitely needs the help of the community. This is a fantastic event. I remember the first year we raised over $8,000, and then I think between the first 2 years it was almost $30,000.
Yep.
So if you can, check out charityhammer.com if you want to donate. We certainly appreciate it. And as well, we've raised a lot of prize support for the community from the community, where every $30 you donate is essentially a ticket, and we're raffling off
Tons of great prizes.
tons of great prize
Full
support.
2,000 point Necron army that's professionally painted. Looks gorgeous in that gold and blue scheme. Then there's like a shopping spree for online gaming, a lot of cool stuff.
There's tons of great prize support, and frankly, the sooner you donate, the more drawings you're going to be a part of. So I would encourage you to do it quickly. This is an absolutely great cause, but they do. I think they do a raffle off every single stream. So there's tons of prizes going out. You can see a full list on the website charityhammer.com, and we are of course doing 2 streams. If you're here on the Canhammer TV stream, we thank you. But there is also twitch.tv/biffpod if you want to catch other games. This will be going on all.
I did misstate there that Frontline Shopping Spree is part of the Las Vegas Open, which is another charity event happening this
Yep.
month. So a lot of charity for 40K. This community is amazing. We really appreciate everybody's support.
Absolutely.
All right, Harrison's about to start psychic phase, so we'll turn them back up.
Alright. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Enemy unit.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Okay, so we're just going to. He's got 2 powers. He's gonna give them exploding 6s.
Okay.
On a 6.
Sure.
Actually,
No confidence in making your charges, huh?
no. We're gonna put it on the one that I know is getting in.
Fair enough. Or
Does not go off.
Do you want to roll that?
I just know.
You're like, no.
No, not for 2 blade guard vets. I don't. And then
Just take this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And I want to confirm this.
It's 2d6, and if you double my toughness, it's just 3 flat, I think.
Oh, this is
Blood
blood
boil,
boil.
yep.
Yep. Try to get a couple extra mortal wounds, and if
Yep.
those conscripts have an invuln, killing as many as possible is almost essential.
Yep.
And it looks like the 10 Vanguard came down on the bottom,
Yep.
as well as the Sanguinary Guard. So he's setting up 2 different charges for these conscripts. It looks like it is all 10. There's another Sanguinary Guardian at the top, and then the Plasma Scepters came in behind the
I
captain. So
feel like he's seeing the plan we're saying is if he can just wrap as many units as possible,
What's that? 2
it's
shot
going to be difficult
Are they exactly
for Zach to do damage.
Yeah.
but it looks
what
like to just kill the plasma. It looks like the wrap he's going for is on the conscripts, not into the actual
I was
plasma.
just thinking, please do, man.
Yeah. No, we'll shoot here, I guess.
What can I see?
I would say 2 of them.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say 2, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you gonna shoot the 4 in there?
Yeah.
Okay, do it.
So 2 of them.
All right.
Just a Sanguinary Guard, I think, shooting into a
Mm-hmm.
And,
couple of the plasma guys.
Okay.
okay.
Sure, the Interceptors are about to open
The
up.
breakup is
Yes.
5.
It's 4, 6, 6, and a single character.
Okay. We'll just go 2 into 6, and then you said 2 6s.
2 6s.
2 into 6, and then 3 into the other 6.
Okay, yeah. He's shooting away the back. It's not even bothering to try and whittle down the front ones. Doesn't want to make the charge any longer.
Yep. Totally makes sense. I think that's absolutely the right play.
Oh, we just
Um,
you have to roll. Just roll the shots. You max shots.
Yeah.
Because dumb rule, if anyone's listening, if you have a D3 shot weapon, you shouldn't get max shots against 6 guys. That's really dumb. But those
Last
are
works.
So play with your
He's
D3
almost-
unit, and we'll have fun.
Hey.
All right.
Oh, this is hammer out cancer. I'm sorry.
This is hammer.
Then they should have been prohibited. They're clearly not fitting the motif.
Okay, here's the 2. 12 shots.
Yep.
I wonder if he's hitting on 2s if he spent that command point.
He might not have just because it's
There's-
automatic.
Okay.
Especially
Here's
with
what
the
we're
captain
gonna
over.
do. I'm gonna
Need to
roll
overcharge.
the first 6, and I'm gonna get ready to pick up the second 6. Well, you have to win on 2s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't roll a ton of 1s.
1.
Okay.
So that's 20, and then he's getting even more shots.
Yep.
That should be the end of that problem.
Scepters into the other one.
Now, as annoying as those plasma units were, leaving them alive would have been terrible. He does need to kill
I
them.
did forget there's that company commander up there. That's beautiful because now you can make the charge in here and wrap it.
Oh, I did that company
Yeah,
commander.
nice.
If the plasma scepters
Which you can reroll.
would be very nice.
Okay.
Yep, that's the other squad just gone. 100%. Yep. That would be a perfect play right there. And we'll see if those Inceptors can make the charge.
Yeah, 100. I'm saving for that. They're the most.
I worked out and I did way too many squats. And
You're very confident.
I did that right before I got on my feet for 2 days. It was genius.
Well, yeah, no one needs to get close enough to heroically intervene, Frank.
Mephiston will shoot his plasma pistol there.
Sure. You can overcharge?
No.
Okay. Hero
Oh, wait, no. I was thinking the captain was next to him. He's not.
Even if he was, I don't think it works in characters, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And
You like rules, right?
and he has a bolt pistol.
Okay.
Hit.
Is the same unit before?
couple pistols picking up the conscripts right now. Nothing crazy, just setting up the charges that are coming. Making these charges is going to be the big.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, that's all
There's the
for shooting.
This turn right here could really have a huge impact. Honestly, Harrison is not out of it at all. He took a good punch, but he could absolutely punch back right.
Do it.
A lot of guardsmen, only one of them fearless, all of them has the invuln.
I'm going to hold steady to
Frankly, the
override
Vanguard Guards probably delete all of the conscripts by themselves.
Yeah.
And then Sanguinary Guard just pile in tag combat and wrap things. That's enough right there.
I missed every time, and one guy killed himself, and the last guy hits once. One wound.
Looks like Zach is overwatching with some plasma.
Yep, he tried to kill some of the plasma models.
CTR.
Doesn't matter.
I think he killed one of them.
We want to do your thing, man.
I gotta roll my charge to see how far I'm going.
Oh yeah.
Chief Captain looks like he's
Works,
in.
but not by much.
Yeah. So he's gonna go to.
Without
He's-
plus
he's
one,
moving
I would have failed.
Like, possible.
So he's gonna go to.
So I'm
there,
guessing he's not
kill, then
fine.
pile in.
3, and that's what I
I would
figured.
just probably reply that you're working with the knowledge.
Yeah.
Are you gonna? Can you touch my command? Or do you want me to watch it?
Oh, what were the rest of the charges?
Okay. Oh, so okay. Now we just resolved that quickly for those watching because we know what's gonna happen over there, so we just got it out of the way.
Does not want to charge?
Maybe they failed.
Needing an
Interceptors
8
first.
marksman?
Yeah. Do it.
I don't think he's all
They
the plasma
just said it was
technique.
over
Maybe he
because it
wanted
was
It's
there.
too easy to do.
I am
No.
100% confident that is how that will go.
Yeah. Okay. Needing an 8.
He needed the double wrap up there.
That doesn't do it.
I believe we discussed this. Are you gonna reroll it?
I think the Vanguard vets are more important.
You should always do the most important ones first. So you can do
Uh,
Vanguard vets.
First, you know,
Can they roll a 3 again?
No.
They can roll a 7.
7, so we will CP that.
the Vanguard veteran just failed, and he's using a CP reroll right now.
already not going beautifully.
All right, so down a command point.
I think we already discussed what's gonna happen here. We already know. We've seen the future. Oh no, we were wrong. You made it.
All right, so the Vanguard veterans made it. That's almost head conscript squad, and he can potentially wrap tag in combat that even Russ if he doesn't know what this.
Oh, I know, right?
It's always insulting to me, man.
He just rolled the bare minimum 9.
Yeah, it didn't look like he got enough to get over there.
Maybe not, but he's still going to almost certainly kill the conscripts. Now he needs to put as many models as possible into that crater, so that he's taking a 1-up armor save. There's a lot of high AP in the guard army, but you know what? Every save matters when you've got an
I
invuln.
mean, there's a bunch of heavy bolters all over the place.
Yeah, you might as well take 2 ups against those.
Does it really matter too much? I guess hit on 3, so you have a checkpoint. But that's not a
Another guard squad to charge. Let's see what they roll. They're piling in.
Or maybe he failed them both.
He must have already rolled it and failed it. So it looks like the only charge from reserves he made was the Vanguard veterans. He would have hoped for more. Plus,
one fail. One squad fail.
One squad failed, yes.
One has
He must have rolled the
You're gonna charge with this squad, or you're gonna do
when
one?
they failed.
then the
Just
captain
like-
just went for the kill.
Yeah, the
This
captain.
squad does not.
I honestly,
Because he
I
is-
think I would use the reroll on the plasma. Vanguard,
Me
though.
too. Me too. 100%.
Okay. So no, those Sangre Guard will probably stay there.
They're babysitters.
I think they'll babysit right now.
They're babysitters of blood. Okay.
Alright.
Vanguard?
Oh, can you tell me if I'm in your
Alright, so-
deployment right now?
Yep. So, oh,
Now, I
sorry,
definitely do think the top one has the invuln
Yeah.
buffs, so this bottom one
That's
should
the
just
problem.
get absolutely
With
eviscerated.
my consolidate.
Well, I can lead this model.
one of these units get wrecked. I would assume it's the bottom one.
Yeah, you can get closer.
Character
Goes like this.
What he's pre-measuring now is if he can get wholly within the deployment zone.
So you have to, if you
Unit,
see
it-
someone not
The way he
fight,
charged,
I'll just use like
there he
I'll just go under 5. Okay, that's cool.
he needed to put more models on the bottom
Now
side,
you're doing it.
and then wiping those models consolidate.
And Crick, on blow, Rajams to get a consolidate, they would need to have a chaplain nearby for that, right?
Chaplain is
Chaplain
a
was
6
key.
inch.
How do they get that many attacks?
I know White Scars have a stratagem for that I don't like to use, but I didn't think Blood was. So that's unfortunate
there's a-
for
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a seven
that-
if there's a sergeant there, you know who he is.
Um,
We'll assume he's not.
unfortunate for Harrison
Oh, yeah.
behind in the attrition. He really wants to get those losing out on a relentless assault is unfortunate. That's just 4 points off his secondary. That it's possible to get back, but I'd be impressed if he was able to get relentless assault for the next 3 turns after this.
he has to get
wanted
every-
to get it as quick as possible.
Yep.
He doesn't have to extend himself later.
Oh, I'll just roll these.
So there's not going to be an interruption from Zach. I imagine this unit's getting scooped here.
Oh, would you use the phone finder?
Yeah.
Alright, so we should see
18 twice.
getting knocked out. They already assumed that the Terror Cap would advance with
Three.
4 guardsmen standing in front of him.
One actually died in overcharge.
That's true. The
So
3
three.
guardsmen. I think that's
I'll take that.
the amount of dice being rolled right now. This looks like the Vanguard veterans. Probably just the first half. There's quite a few of them, but they're not in Assault Doctrine. AP2 is enough to cut through a guardsman, but it is the difference between the extra attack.
How many?
And because they arrive from the table, not reserves, that means they also do not get the any rerolls. They weren't near the Chapter
No,
Master.
but he could have spent the strat on them for +1 to hit. If he wanted. And
That
to
is true. Ignore the negatives to charge. The bench.
They don't take anything. But
Oh, it's a nice thing to have.
a lot of them. Probably.
Yep, and this is the second half. Again, you'd expect this to be the absolute end of the conscripts. Maybe there's 1 or 2 left.
Take what I can get.
Even that, I wouldn't
You
expect
can
it.
select 3 both times.
AP2 is enough to just cut guardsmen in half here.
For the reroll,
And because it's a full 10 man, not really bad.
This is why those native roll wounds for the lightning bolt is so powerful.
Okay.
Don't need a extra buy.
Alright, and yep, that looks like that was the last comp.
we should
Alright, so
probably,
as expected there, he's got a consolidate move. We'll see if he takes advantage of it.
Yeah, I
Just to try to get a few more models from the
mean,
crater.
and then,
Now it looks like he's moving out of the game.
I think he asked Zach.
Colin was
Consolidate
asked us to
thing.
not touch each other's models.
Oh, really?
You should respect that, yeah.
Oh, because of the tournament.
Just
Yeah,
once.
because of COVID.
Yeah, he's definitely not reaching the Russ, which is unfortunate, but
This is actually very,
not wholly
very
unexpected.
rarely
He would have needed like a nice
frequently
like 11 or 12-inch charge to really connect there.
The point
But
is,
as long as he can keep models in the crater, they'll have a slightly better save. Again, make the bonus work for it. It's a 2-wound unit without a feel no pain. You want to make as many saves as you can.
Well, I figured you've been quarantined and I've been quarantined. The only people we've seen.
I have been doing remote learning for the University of Washington, where I get to have like 6 hours of screen time every day.
That's he's not there, but you know where he is.
I got you. You're good.
Okay.
Blackguard?
Bligard and sorry, Mephisto charged them as well.
Jeez, we're great on the order of operations this game.
Yeah, I know.
Suppose.
7, yeah, he's in. And the Sang Priest will not charge.
It looks like he forgot to charge a couple units right up top. Zach's letting them go back, as you should. I'm sure it was quite obvious that the blade guard 2 inches away from the guardsman wanted to kill them. But still good push on Zach's part. And, you know, you like to see that. This is a charity event, of course, but even in a normal tournament, I would expect Zach.
And I'm sure
So it'll be 11 attacks.
pretty much going to charge.
Four wheels too, right?
Yeah.
Cool story.
Alright.
Okay.
Yeah, now if this unit is fearless, I frankly expect there's going to be some guardsmen left.
Yeah.
And
no,
because the
it's-
Rights of War guy is so far away, I don't see any optic on the objective.
Conversion.
This is almost certainly going to lead to a 15-point primary for Zach.
the previous 5 points of comparison is a pretty big swing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pearson can his resources. Getting a at the end is unlikely, but at this rate, I don't know if he's going to have enough resources left to do that.
Still, I mean, he really needs to get a wrap off here.
Mhm.
Otherwise,
At a bare minimum, making him spend command points is very valuable.
yep. Especially on the big conscript squad, that's a lot of.
Mhm.
How
Yeah, roll the dice.
2.
You might get, an extra 4 or 5 conscripts purely for making them fall back.
Yep.
That's another morale check, which again, you can't fearless all of them.
Getting 6 attacks.
Looks like this is now the priest. And they've got to have the involved with how
Yeah.
few are dying from blade guard.
I think so. To be fair, there's only 2 blade guard.
Yeah,
it's
still.
crazy amount, but, but they probably have every buff in the world because they got the chapter master buff and
their armor
the
kind
counter.
Yeah, of course.
I should talk to my Inquisitor about the quality of the armor we gave those guys, because clearly needs improvement. It worked the first time.
Yes.
They're also fearless.
Yeah, that's.
Can you tell me how many guys I can actually easily get into? I'm just gonna roll 8 dice. I get 3 inches of movement. I'm just gonna roll 8 dice. These are on the blade guard.
All right, so conscripts are slapping back. Again, you just don't expect this to do anything, but it doesn't really need to.
Cool story.
If they're trapped, they're going to break out. If not, they're just going to fall back.
3 and a chainsaw.
There aren't any units there in that center combat, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're not wrapped.
1 wound. Not right.
Harrison would need to do some trickery to make it happen.
Okay.
Did a lot of fiddling, may not have gotten done.
3 for priority. And did you fall back this turn?
It's very easy, having played 8th edition a lot and
Not falling back
really
for
changes
morale test.
thinking much about wrapping anymore,
Mhm.
but
You did
it's
get
still
back
so
for morale.
crucial
You failed the morale test.
against these armies that don't have much counters.
Yep. In a matchup like this, this is where it's needed.
Because even, say for instance, you're playing your White Scars here, I'm sure that
Yeah, this is it is we're on my turn. So you did fail the morale test this turn. You're not in the middle.
tons.
And you didn't kill a monster.
There is a limit.
Yeah.
That was this turn.
End of 2.
At the end of 2, what do we got points for? 8, 14. He has 15 secondaries and 5.
Right, so Harrison, he may have actually gotten another assault. Maybe he did get it in.
Yeah.
15 secondary. Let's. Does he have anything within 6 to the center for Oath? I wonder.
Oh, never mind. That wasn't that.
I have 10. At the end of 2, I have 10 primary and 14
Like
secondary.
with the 2 ranks of cardsmen.
Mhm.
That's and then.
So I'm gonna have to like run into deny range here to make this work. My Inquisitor is going to. Oh, so we do it. I get a CP.
So,
To 6. I get.
He still does have 2.
So I hold 3.
yeah, it's just weapon team. So there's still room for some pain to come in this turn. I would not be surprised if he puts them in the bottom flank just to try to deal with these Vanguard veterans. Damage 2 plasma. This is the best place you can put it.
Second guard down there too.
Yeah, that right. If he it's right in between the 2 units, he can get good shots on whatever's alive there. I think he has enough guns to take care of that captain. Maybe put some stuff down at plasma Inceptor squad.
Well, he can't come within Harrison's deployment zone, right?
No, he
Not
cannot.
this turn.
Oh, this is the last turn for him. He can come in the deployment zone. He just cannot come in within 6
Within
of
six,
the table edge. Looks like he's pre-measuring now where exactly that plasma unit can go. Definitely where you want to start with movement. So good plays by Zach there. You may just be looking at again trying to kill all these power armor bodies at the bottom of the screen. I'm guessing that Zach just got 15 on primary, number of conscripts on that objective, and the other 2 that just tested.
Can't come in off your table edge, but I can come in your deployment zone now.
It's not within 6. So if the plasma is within 15,
right here.
maybe.
Be off this edge, right?
I cannot measure off of that edge. I can't come in off this edge, but I'm coming in off this edge.
Gotcha.
So I'm coming on 6 off this edge. Which would be like that.
That's rules written versus rules intended, I bet.
I mean, I believe distinction not a difference is the expression.
Yeah.
Arrive within 6 inches of his opponent's table edge.
And then move. There's no way I can give them an order. That's what I was thinking.
Actually, it would also be fighting an aspect scan, so which at this point I think Harrison was just trying to reduce the damage. But even so, I'm not actually sure if he's going to be able to do that. We'll see if that's what he's measuring, and if he puts you in there.
Yeah, especially because he doesn't. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Other mana core. I'll squeak around.
So you're saying can't be in.
Cores are pushing back a little bit. I think at this point he's just trying to get shots with the heavy bolters. He's not really worried about getting a shot at, and he should be able to deal with almost everything in front of him. Break all of Harrison's large squads here. That could be crippling. Zach really needs to wrap, and he's going to be in the spot. Doing well so far. He's following his good game plan. I think he's playing good. If he can just break all of these big squads, make sure that there's no potential of a wrap in the future, then it doesn't matter if a single character or 2 blade guard come and tag a tank. Because if 2 blade guard tag a tank, the tank falls back and the other 4 tanks shoot the blade guard. No problem at all. All these big squads, and I think he's in a good spot.
In particular, the Vanguard vets.
Yeah.
Because they are right in the middle.
I think the Vanguard veterans are priority target number 1,
Yep.
and then the Plasma Scepters are number 2.
Yep.
From there, you just try to pin down the Sanguinary Guard and maybe pick up the Priest. Just make sure that there's no healing of the depleted units. At that point, I think there's enough guns to take care of the rest.
I would actually make sure the Knights of War Captain goes away. Get rid of his obstacle.
That's true. He is standing by himself in the open. Frankly, I imagine that a couple multi-month sponsons his way, fail 1 save, and just take care of business.
100% guarantee.
That's true.
He would actually be a nightmare back here with these cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I believe that captain took a wound from the plasma. The Overwatch. So if he did, he only had 3 left. He may have made it. I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, I think that was just the guardsman died.
Just the guardsman died.
Yeah, you're good there.
Yeah, I think it's time to do the thing. What are the points?
Sorry, John.
Looks like we
what
have
was the thing
General
about
Fred the
6
chat.
inches?
TV. We appreciate your support, Generalissimo Fred.
Hope you enjoyed that Grey Knight versus White Scars game on our channel that you supported. Hope you're doing
Absolutely.
well.
You're saying I really don't know the rules?
looks like. Is that a command squad coming down there, John?
There's a couple plasma squads. Yeah, this unit looks like it's just coming in Zach's deployment zone just to try to whittle away the Vanguard veterans. I'm okay with that. He may also just be counting out the squads. It looks like that's what he's doing. He's just pulling out models to count the squads. He probably has that. Yeah.
Apparently, we can't play the game in order. So I got 1 command squad, 2 command squad. Then I need my one. Before I do this, go to back to company commander for me.
All right. Looks like the conscripts just fall back from the blade guard. It looks like they're just staying an inch away.
Company commander's falling back.
Oh baby.
But yeah, of course.
Army.
How's this going? Oh, there are a lot of tanks still in the field.
John, what was the thing about 6 inches from the board edge? Just play that again.
So when that unit arrives from strategic reserves, it can arrive within 6 inches of any table edge except for Harrison's edge. So it cannot arrive within 6 inches of Harrison's edge, even if it's also within 6 inches of another edge. So I think if he's setting them up within 6 inches of Harrison's backfield right now, I don't think he'll actually be able to do that. He may have to put some other guns into the Inceptors.
Oh really? There is a 6-inch prohibition? Yeah. Oh. Well, that's a bummer.
Changes things a little bit.
So they're not going to come. I just thought I didn't think those were okay. So I just thought I couldn't use that edge.
No, within 6 inches of that edge.
I cannot come in within 6 inches of that edge ever. Okay. So
Still plenty of spots for those plasma units to go, though. It looks like now he may take advantage of the Sanguinary Guard and the Vanguard veterans down at the bottom. I think that he's got enough stuff to deal with the Plasma Scepters, especially when you consider the fact that they don't have a 6-up female pain right now. The Manticores alone could do quite a bit of work. Looks like he's got 1 Rust with line of sight there. I would expect to see the Melta Sponsons go into the Captain, and the Demolisher Cannon go into those Inceptors. And then whatever's left, even with Manticores until they go away. All the rest of the guns, especially all this plasma, probably going to go right into the Sanguinary Guard and the Vanguard veterans. Now, I don't think there's a company commander over here, so these guys may just be dying on 1s. But it's still a lot of
The trade
shots.
I would make.
Yeah, you still
Every
take it.
Marine body that dies now is just.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. The option would be to bring them down in your own deployment zone, kind of in front of that Manticore, just to have an order nearby. But it looks like with this angle, he might be able to see a couple Sanguinary Guard. I don't know if he'll get all the shots, but there's plenty of Vanguard in front of him. He's going to have things to do with these plasma units. And again, any resources that go towards those plasma squads are going to be going away from the bulk of the army. And moving squads further away from the tanks is something that Zach is okay with. Even if he loses those plasma units, I think he's all right with this.
Squish that squad Vanguard real bad. Yeah. So these guys, I'll shoot this one first so everyone will be able to see. And I should be able to get maximum efficiency.
Sure, I just wanted to.
He's one. And maybe I think everything's going down there.
Yeah, with the amount of bodies there, I would guess that that's both of the remaining command squads and the last plasma team. But you know what? That's going to give him great engage on all fronts. Again, he wants
threaten the objective
and threaten that objective for later. So if he can clear all that stuff out, there aren't a lot of resources left for Harrison to send that way. If these Rust can take care of the Vanguard and the Sanguinary Guard, he's in a great spot. I would expect to start with plasma, trying to get as much as possible into the Vanguard veterans, and then whatever's left, he splits up between the multi-melters and the demolisher cannons of those Rusts. The multi-melters are going to be particularly deadly into the Sanguinary Guard because they're AP 4, and there is no inherent invuln on the Sanguinary Guard. So I think I would rather put the AP 3 stuff into the Van Vets, because frankly, AP 3 more armor or invuln, which are in cover. The multi-melters into the Sanguinary Guard are going to be deadly.
With a 7, you want to try to that? Nope, that's good. We're going to give them a fearlessness. The 9.
Looks like Mephisto high range, but need to know one.
Are you out of denies?
Yeah, that's 2 denies.
And then +1 to save. Fails, I will CP that. And it still fails. Cool, so they have a 5.
Alright, so 5 fearless on the bottom of the middle, but it looks like he lost the 4+. Now, with where they are, I think close enough to get her right into. Looks like they didn't back up much. Maybe just a little bit right in front of them, and then see what the guys can take care of.
Looks like Mephisto up on top of them. I think the Sanguinary Priest.
Squad there, so they may actually just be getting Mephisto may just be getting shot because that's a 2-man Blade Guard squad. I don't think Mephisto is being covered. You could just eat a full Demolisher cannon.
Yep. Now he can 1 CP transfer on Mephisto. Mephisto 5 of Feel No Pain inbuilt, 2
Reroll ones on this
Mhm.
button.
no guarantee.
Awesome.
So the mana core here. 10 shots.
Okay.
Shots to start out. Beautiful.
Can't tell which tank this is, but 10 shots is good on all of them.
This kick is up. It's good.
That
There's 3 ones. So 5, 4 windows.
looks like this is a demolisher starting on the sanguinary on the Vanvets.
Still
Yeah,
four.
4.
So there's 3. Heavy bolter. 1 hit.
Is that 3 dead?
That's it. There's 3.
Oh,
Okay. The heavy bolter does nothing. So
Damage on 2 models, I assume. It's possible they can make it. I don't know if Zach rolled the damage on the D6 weapons there. Or maybe this is a Manticore shooting and it just shot really well.
Demolisher commander's gonna put
That must have been the Manticore just starting off there.
Yep. Yeah, because you
4
shot
mana
Heavy
bolters
Bolter.
into Mephisto. Because there's no 3 men here, right?
What?
There's no 3 men.
There's
Okay.
nothing, man.
So 4 Malthus into Mephisto. 2 hits.
Yep.
4 months in the Mephisto. The transhumanist on it.
I don't think he would, just because he would save it for the Inceptors.
Yep. I agree. That's something to think about.
1 wound on Mephisto. Ren 4, so it should be a 6 hit. And I'm not within 15 for plus damage. Okay.
6. Mephisto?
Okay, Mephisto's like, nope, that didn't do what I wanted. Battle. The cannon.
Lord of Death is holding on.
John knows about the Lord of Death and his defense.
I do. See, I think that right now you focus on the big squad. As glorious as it is on Mephisto with a multi-melta, Mephiston is not killing 5 tanks by himself. He might go kill 1 in.
And these were into. Okay.
4 invus. 3 go
Pass
3. 1, 2. So 1 guy, 2 guys die.
I used the CP already on, I think, a wound roll into Mephiston, so he didn't have it to reroll that 1 on damage, which would have been a nice spot for it.
2 guys.
That's okay. Plenty of damage
He
still.
rerolled it on just on a psychic power. I don't think he rerolled anything in the shooting phase.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I might have missed it.
Wait, I can take that on guy in cover.
Doesn't matter. It's got 3 rounds.
Oh, right. I thought that was a heavy bolter.
Oh, you passed the heavy bolter. You passed with 5. You're good on that. So the first squad of plasma here, this ruling ones is going to go. The one with worst line of sight is going to go into those 4 guys. Sure.
All right.
So
here comes
some of the
plasma.
plasma is shooting the Sanguinary Guard. I think they might have covered it. Just be 4-up saves.
Okay. There's a 2 and a 2.
Like they're touching that armor container there.
Okay. 3, 6 on the Sangar.
Ooh, 6 plasma wounds from the first squad. Every failed save is the Sanguinary Guard.
That is brutal.
One's touching.
Yeah, so he'd be a 5 up or he'd be a 4 up.
Maybe 4. Yeah, take 1 4 up.
Quite good roll.
And then 5 ups. Okay.
They're dead.
Oh, the whole squad of the first plasma unit. Brutal spot for Harris. Didn't expect the Sanguinary Guard to be there for the phase, but you would have hoped that would have taken more effort than that.
Yeah, because next plasma goes
Right into the Vanguard.
probably at the end.
All
You
right.
can do it. Believe.
Okay. 6 weapons.
Maybe he must have outflanked 2 company commanders because he's rerolling 1s. I bet his second company commander was
I
in
think that's
reserve.
that model right
That must be that white guy in the back. Yeah, he looks different. So
3. Yeah, so 1 goes to 4 too. Yeah, 3, yeah, it does. It's all the same. So 4 more, lose 1.
there. Yeah, it looks like that.
yep. So be off there, and you know that makes sense. You might as well.
Kill
Too.
4.
Yeah, lose 1 guy. The last squad of plasma from the special weapons team. That it's on
is
4
right up
rolls 1, so we'll go into that 1 guy.
What?
You failed 4, so there's 1 left.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Why are you
there's
saying 1?
Yeah, 1 guy left. All right, and the last plasma
Oh,
to him.
Vanguard veteran, and there's more plasma guns still to fire.
Okay, they need 4s now.
Almost certainly the end of the Vanguard veterans, and then I think there's still a few rust on
1
Manticore.
save, because I rolled 2 ones.
Just 1.
Still plenty of damage.
Good. Just to be a thorn in my side. Okay, they have las guns.
Actually, even though 1, I mean, he lost 9 of his friends, and that's not worth fearlessing.
Nope. You could roll a 1.
He could roll a 1, and that would be annoying and get relentless assault from Mr. Harrison.
That would actually.
I've
But,
done enough of those to know that.
There's
Yeah.
heavy bolters there and everything else.
I think he'll have 2 Lehman.
Demolisher here.
Yeah.
He'll put his
Who is?
this tank commander.
Gotcha.
Demolisher there.
Demolisher.
Mm-hmm.
Demolisher there. A multi-melta here.
He's not going to go back into Mephisto and make sure the
Multi-melta
Vanguard.
into the priest.
I think that top one must be a regular one then, because one of them is a regular and two of them are tank commanders. I can't tell which is which. I'm guessing that top one must be a regular one without multi-meltas.
2 modes here.
Does it red both of these? That might be
Uh,
commanders in the white.
Multi-melted.
Pickles, could you find out which tank is not a tank commander?
Fire too much here. 1 wound of the priest, around 4, so 1 6 up on the priest.
He's a 3 up.
I think he's a Sanguard. He's 7 2.
Sanguinary priest, 3 up.
Oh, he's not a right. He's not a Sanguinary ancient. I'm thinking. Okay, so just punches. For 1.
For 1. Okay.
If I'm within 15 of him, it's for 3, but I'm not.
Okay, and he has 5 moves because of armor and Indominus.
Cool. Okay. Demolisher into Sanguard. 9 shots.
Oh wait, no, he does have a 2 up because of armor and Indominus.
Okay.
So 6 up. No, and then his feel no pain.
Sure. No. My tank commanders really shit the bed this turn. 2.
So not as much as tank commanders. He's still doing pretty good damage here.
Let's see if some Sanguinary Guard can survive.
AP3 means he got 5 ups.
1 and 4. So 5 on one guy, 5 on the next.
3.
Alright,
Only 2, I think,
Overture,
on the wound roll damage roll
Demolisher
1.
into your Inceptors.
That killed 2, right?
Yeah. Demolisher into the Inceptors.
From there.
Heavy Bolter as well. Sorry.
Is anything going to go into that Smash Captain?
Oh yeah, do you want to fancy move?
It is OBSEC. Like, wipe that guard spot back there and tag you.
Can't take him with me, and I don't know that I'm going to get
That
enough.
rest is also obsec, but if it's one model to one model, that's
5
enough.
points, yep. Looks like transhuman is
1 hit.
hit.
It saved you. It saved 1.
Yep.
Saved you 1. Heavy Bolter.
Wow. Not a good shooting at all from the tank commander. It looks like that Plasma Scepter squad is going to survive unscathed.
I've got a mana.
Now, Zach has done a lot of
I
damage
think
here,
he has
but
one more mana core.
more man. But Harrison, a little more left than I might have expected.
Frankly, I would go into Captain.
He's gonna fire his
Let the
heavy
plat-
bolter at the captain.
I would actually
Same points.
see
I'm gonna,
have the direct line of +1 to hit here. Try to put as much into that captain as possible. I think,
He's just too much of a thorn.
yeah, you've already hammered Harrison's big units. Now take away his ability to reach.
got really excited.
You can already reach the center with too much there. That's a problem for next turn.
Yep.
Try to get everything else. A lot of shots from this Manticore.
Already hit the captain.
Yeah, he's been rolling pretty well for shots, but about half.
5. 5 4 Windows 3 flat. Gotta pass 4 of these.
Okay, he is put into the Captain.
Okay.
So if he fails 2 of them, he's gone.
Hey, you were playing?
Yep, captain's out. That makes sense.
I predicted this. I predicted this long ago.
Yes.
All right, that's the power of the full payload Manticore right there, folks. That thing is deadly.
Oh, he's guaranteed to run off. He lost my guy. He can't pass. That's rule of 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's actually I should have thought of that. That was silly.
Probably-
It would have been silly of me to shoot him.
Probably not worth the
I
transition.
rolled 1 on the Vanguard bet. Let's see it happen.
There's a 1 coming guaranteed, folks.
Yeah.
You see it?
Well, you're just gonna roll a 1.
All I gotta do is roll 1.
I think I'm out of.
Thanks, Harrison.
Sure, you can roll.
You
Roll
be
1.
4 points potentially on that objective too and kill a bunch of guards
That is
there.
the opposite of one. Sorry. That is.
He rolled a 6. Vanguard veterans down. That's unfortunate. That's even going to deny Harrison oath of moment points. I don't know how many command points Harrison has. It probably wasn't enough to really contemplate auto spending it.
Probably in this position it might have been.
Okay. So at the beginning of your turn, you get 5.
He had enough command points left on 6. That's 1 on oath. Having another unit arrive to harass an
And
objective.
as the sergeant in Assault Doctrine, he could kill.
You
over
could kill a
half that-
decent number of guardsmen. Yeah, and 4 on it might not have been bad, honestly. At minimum 5 points, maybe more.
Go over there, maybe get range to throw a grenade, depending where the guard are, and then make the charge.
Oh, is it monster?
Potentially finish.
Yeah,
the
you can try to make plays. I think. All right, Harrison's taking stock of it right now. Let's see if we can get that primary and secondary updated. I'm imagining Zach got another domination.
Paper proficiency, that's the only type measure.
Okay, movement. It's not that complicated. There's not that much to move.
Yeah, Harrison's running low on models here, but we'll see what he can get done. He does still have the almost the full Plasma Zephyr squad. I think he has to move forward, try and charge into those guardsmen, and consolidate into something else.
Yes.
And he does have the priest still, so he can heal himself and stand up another blade guard. Again,
Back to a 3-man.
1 turn ago, that was a 1-man blade guard squad with 1 wound left, and I think it's about to be 3 men at full health. just the one save away. That's
And we know there's a 10-man guard squad behind the conscripts.
Mhm.
So they're positioned once again where a wrap can go off there.
Yeah. Well, I would frankly think that without a Farp Invul, the Plasma Scepters may be able to just shoot that unit to death.
Yeah, but to get behind into the guard
Yeah.
squad back there. Maybe even try and go after the tank on some long arms. Because I think they can walk around the side here.
Yep.
And in.
Are the Inceptors
Yeah, I wouldn't be
finally
surprised.
gonna do their calling and shoot those conscripts?
I wonder if Mephiston has wings of Sanguinius, because that could help him get into the middle.
Their calling, killing a tank.
And one of the tanks
Tag the other. Yeah, that would be really big. So we'll see. Harrison still has some plays left to make.
All right, here come the Plasma Scepters.
Yeah, they're coming forward, and I think they need to move forward, shoot, kill something in charge. We'll see what the 18-inch range looks like. It's possible he actually has range to something like the tank commander. I frankly wouldn't take that shot.
No, I would kill the
I would
conscripts.
just focus on the OBSEC bodies and then try to get in the center, control that center as long as possible. Get your Oath of Moment points. If you can consolidate into the right spot of a ruin, there's not that much for the tank.
Could shoot there, or they could all just dump into the
My
conscript.
thing is that you need to overcharge to kill it, and you don't have a captain anymore.
Yep.
I don't think you take that kind of risk.
No, I wonder
No.
if companies.
This is gonna be exciting.
Start a command phase. He's gonna put them in assault doctrine.
He shoots at the conscripts, they're probably going to evaporate. And he'll just pull the closed models.
He'll heal
Mhm.
himself.
So
I would think shoot the Scepter squad here into the back squad of guardsmen on that objective. Try to spread out, get a couple guys. Frankly, you only need like 20 Scepters to shoot that to just murder them.
Pretty fantastic.
looks like he can get two. Depending.
It's hard to tell from our perspective.
Now, I do wonder, because I know these ruins have holes in them. So is it being played that if they're touching that base there, that you can see through the windows?
No. I would guess so, but still, there's only one window on the bottom floor of each side, it looks like. So there's definitely going to be a corner where you could try to consolidate something like Mephiston or a character. And Mephiston in cover is not dying easily to Manticores. And if the Rust don't get to shoot him, that means that he could have a few units to play for the late game. Again, he just needs enough left at the late game to control 3 objectives, get the 15 primary, try to flip back.
Yeah, probably if the captain survived and was able to get behind the crates back there as well,
Yep.
it would have been a huge deal.
Yep.
Moral victory.
And I think Harrison got another
And he will
five.
rage on that.
Backfield.
Looks like they'll update at the end of the battle round, I think, but I'm guessing primary is 25 to 10 right now. Harrison has to do something to swing that.
Tied you twice.
Yes,
Didn't
he
it work?
did.
East of 10, turn 4, and then a 15 at the end. That would still get him to a very respectable 35.
There are 30 shots.
And some conscripts.
Yes, here's 22.
And don't overcharge for this.
Let me just,
Alright, so looks like the Plasma Scepters are about to shoot. Can't tell what they're going at yet.
15 twice.
Yep, agreed.
15 twice means that they're blasting. They must be shooting the conscripts right in front.
Yeah.
Unless he could,
Shooting the conscript.
because I doubt the whole squad can back guardsman. Although there is actually a window there. Maybe he can see through it
Maybe
into
there's
that one
model
guy.
in the corner over there.
If he's just deleting that back guardsman squad, which I think would be the play,
Great.
then that could work.
Alright, I'm on 5 up right now. So I feel a barrier.
Oh, he's taking an invul instead of the front squad.
4 times. So the problem is the psychic. I feel lost too. The psychic barrier was in fact working the wrong way,
Yeah.
and so I turned that off, and now that works.
Ah, okay.
That's just how it works. Great.
Second 15.
It did not kill as many guardsmen as you would expect there.
Scepter's like, Captain, my
And
captain,
5
where did you go?
but I would have expected more guardsmen to get pulled by that.
I mean, there's no rerolls. It's hidden
Yeah.
multis.
Sometimes the invul will spike too. We saw that last night with the Chaos Demons on the board.
Once again, a better proportion than last time. 5 die.
All right, so only
50% 5-ups.
50% 5 can't argue with that.
Still, I don't think it's a massive deal because it means there's conscript right there for him to make a charge.
Yeah, and he didn't pull the closest ones to the Inceptors, it looks like. So again, the Inceptors really want to get this charge off. Try to nest line of sight, get extra attacks, and just to murder this unit. Get on the objective, try to contest it. Unfortunately, Harrison just doesn't have any offset. He only had one. Infiltrators are dead, and the Rights of War captain is unfortunately gone.
Yep. You really need right support is such a powerful ability that
Mhm.
greenlists are built around.
Okay.
Okay.
Their 5 was really good this turn.
Yes, it is. Okay. Blade Guard vets into him.
Sure.
Alright, so it looks like we're getting charges in. We'll see if the Inceptors go in as well.
Really needs to tag every model into cover with his fires and consolidates for these charge moves.
Mhm.
Uh,
He's not going to be getting hit by Plasma this turn, at least, if he just goes into the ruin. So it's only 5 tanks. Now there's some high AP in there, but you can try to survive that. If you're not getting shot by the Plasma, there's a chance to survive. private, whereas before
this one guy is gonna hold this objective.
plasma.
Mephisto may
So-
charge them.
Full sanguinary guard squad and most of the plasma.
Yep.
The
Interaction earlier. If you make
Looks like all the characters going in are the plasma sisters charging as well.
Same result of one.
I think so. Because conscript right there.
Yeah, they're definitely close enough to. I just haven't seen them.
And they
is gonna scream at us.
well the fact for the Castellan that 1 2 0 will covers that.
And so they pose the close models. You can get
And then
that
the
guard
Scepters are going to charge them for the movement.
Oh sure.
All right, plasma sisters now it looks like.
5 ought to do it.
Oh, there's a guy there. I forgot. I didn't realize I had models over there.
It's charged there because there's just a conscript standing up there.
I legitimately thought I didn't have guys over there. Here.
And make a
Okay.
like
I,
a
made myself, I pulled models that are gonna make them out of coherence.
Maybe trying
Oh,
to stay behind
so,
the wall so that he doesn't get hit by the two bottom lemurs.
It's just tag the cover
I
up.
didn't know there were two models over there.
Cover getting one
left
on the commander and 2 manticores, and if he's in cover, he has 4 upsave against that because he's being covered from and still not be seen.
I thought I did, but they don't look like
Not bad.
Then
No.
Okay.
The world.
And that was the rest of the characters just piling into the
So-
center there.
Survive.
Yep.
We'll go
A lot of damage done on these conscripts.
first.
Yep.
So they're
They're actually an assault doctor now.
yes.
This is what Angels and Assault.
hmm It's just a lot of dice about to be rolled here.
This is an amazing amount of dice.
There's no re-rolls, but when you hit on 3s, wound on 2s, honestly, you only need so many. And there's a lot of dice.
3s.
Now, while they're rolling this out, in case anyone has missed it so far, this is part of a charity event, Hammer Out Cancer. This is designed to support a wonderful cause. That's, I believe, the Fred Hutchins Cancer Research Institute. As well, half of the proceeds from this charity event are going to the family of Vincent Price, a local gamer who, frankly, his family needs the support right now. They're going through a hard time right now because of cancer, unfortunately. We are trying our best as a community, this wonderful Warhammer community, to support them. As well, there are a lot of prizes being donated. So if you want to, and you can donate online on www.charityhammer.com, I would certainly encourage you to. You can find a list of all the prizes available online, but there's amazing stuff. There's a 2,000 point professionally painted Necron army. There's donated kits. There's a big orc lot. There's knights. You can see it all online. There's a ton of stuff being given away. Really encourage you to go online, try to support this. This is the 3rd year of Charity Hammer being run in some iteration or another. Obviously, this is a unique year and it's a unique Charity Hammer. But even so, I think we actually are over $10,000 raised so far for the weekend, and we'll be streaming all weekend long. So we really appreciate any support you can give. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to share it with your friends as well. If nothing else, there's a lot of great 40K being played, and well, not a lot of us are going outside, so it's a good time to be watching 40K.
Party.
Here's their 10.
Looks like he's still just rolling out the attacks into these conscripts.
Wow.
The fact that they don't hit on
There's
twos
still
is really
conscripts left. They've got to find Fenville, a lot less. I would expect the rest of these. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if the whole mess gets picked up here. If all these
Hey, you'll take
being
it.
playing just so many dice.
Back there. Okay, I'll just say this and get those in. They're fearless.
Big thing is that infantry squad is still alive on the objective, and again, I don't think Harrison has any objective secured models left. So I believe Zach is going to be holding that objective, getting another 15 on primary. That may be insurmountable, but if nothing else, Harrison can try to make some aggressive plays, get his own 15 at the end, and if he can max out secondaries while trying to deny as much of Zach's as possible. Again, Harrison's already had on secondaries, and he's setting up to get a good Oath of Moment here. Unfortunately, no.
And of course, as soon as I say
It'll-
that,
it'll be
failure saves. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Conscripts going down.
I think
One
they're
guy
listening.
left.
I think they're
Just
listening.
telling you there's one conscript left. That one does auto pass morale. Maybe Harrison will just wrap and expend 2 extra command points.
Move closer by going this way.
Yeah, the Interceptors are moving. It looks like they're going to touch the wall. Maybe there's... I can't tell if there's a window on that side, but if he can stay out of line of sight of the window,
I think that's exactly
then
what he's
he can get cover, not be shot by Lehman West,
No,
and have a decent option surviving against this
I
Manticore.
used one to reroll a charge last turn.
All right, so looks like we're just talking about their CPs right now, making sure we're both on the same page.
So, at the end of your turn, you don't have anything that sticks in the middle. You failed a morale check, and you didn't kill monster vehicles. So no oath. No relentless.
Ooh, Noah, looks like he didn't quite get within 6 in the center of any of those characters. That's unfortunate for Harrison. He really wanted to get those 2 points.
So the movement turn to get 15.
All right, Zach, it's a
Frankly,
15.
just coming into the game and I see the chain like this for middle of the table against a shooting army, I don't think you can go over the moment.
Okay.
Frankly,
Yeah, that honestly,
So
I was a little surprised by that as well.
if the L's are reversed like they typically are, where
Mhm.
the outsides are deployment stuff,
Absolutely.
it's so much easier to hide
I
in the
rapid
middle.
fired 18 inches.
All right, Pickles, can we update that primary? I think Zach's gotten 10, 15, and 15, which I believe is going to put him at 40. And I think Harrison's gotten 2 5s, which should put him at 10.
There. So this
You
goes.
guys update scores? Sorry, I had to step away for a few minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we'll let Zach finish this movement and then.
So I'll have like a little bit like a guide or two to come.
Looks like they're stepped away from the computer. They'll update the scores in just a moment. For anyone watching, let's give a quick recap, just in case anyone checked into this game a little late.
Sure thing.
So Zach ended up winning the roll for the first turn, pushed up and just did some chip fire with the Manticores. Harrison cleverly deployed most of his army out of line of sight. Harrison did step out on his own turn 1, though, and unfortunately he caught the brunt of Zach's reserves. Definitely not something that you want to take to the face. A lot of plasma squads came in. I think Harrison was taken off guard by how much the guard did. They were able to kill quite a bit, and this same thing repeated itself. Harrison dropped in all of his reserves. Unfortunately, he only made 1 charge out of reserves. I think he brought 4 units in, only made 1 charge. With a +1 to charge for Blood Angels, you would hope for more than that. And he even had to use a CP on the 1 charge he did make. But it looks like right now Zach is up on the scoreboard and still has most of his army left. Harrison has a small block in the middle that is holding on and trying to hide in cover. So if he can take this shooting phase, there may be something else he can do. But unfortunately for Harrison, he has lost a good amount of pieces. So if he gets one more bad turn of shooting, that would probably remove his army from the table. And Zach's just moving his guardsmen around right now. He's piling onto an objective, just trying to put a lot of bodies on it. Those guardsmen on that bottom right objective are not OBSEC. That's all special weapon teams and command squads. But there's so many bodies that Harrison doesn't have OBSEC that he's still able to hold that.
This is why having that capital life for late game.
Absolutely. And this is Zach's turn 4. And again, I believe Zach currently has a 40 on primary. It's showing 25. I'm guessing they haven't quite put that last 15 in. That's 2 turns in a row that Zach was able to hold that, which means it's pretty much a guarantee he's going to get 5 points on the last turn to get the full 45. If he can keep Harrison's primary to 5, which frankly he looks like he's already there,
Yep.
even a 15 late game for Harrison is not going to be enough to save him.
And it'll come down to second.
Yeah, they're just giving you the score as the end of 3. They haven't done the other 15 points. Yeah.
Okay, so we're at the end of turn 3. So Zach took out a 15 primary, but they'll update that at the end of the battle round.
Zach says your powers of arithmetic are outstanding.
That's probably because this guard list is made of pure raw math, and it just drops dice on you until you go away. You know what? That's the important way. Throw bodies in the meat grinder until there's no more meat grinder. All right, looks like a lot of that stuff pushing into the middle. There's 2 Russ staring down both tank commanders, no less, staring down the shooting galley. I'm guessing that Zach is just trying to finish it off.
Your other 2 powers are.
Fearlessness and +1 to the saves. So the 5.
I'm not gonna. No, say it.
I'll give them
Honestly,
fearless.
I think I would have actually moved that Lehman Russ into the plasma scepters to charge them, and I would have shot everything else.
And then I'll give them +1 to their save. No, I won't.
Yeah, because
Those guardsmen are just a 5-weapon build. The guard squad is just a 5-weapon build. So they're praying right now that the rest of my stuff does work and that they don't need it.
Yeah.
Okay,
If everything goes right for you, though, I shouldn't have anything left.
No, you should.
That can.
All right, so these guys are both going to reroll 1s. They're both going to reroll 1s. Those guards.
Again, it looks like multi anything, but at the end of the day, it's still just a Lehman Russ tank. Nothing wrong with that.
Because he's armored.
Oh, he's armored dominus. Damn it.
Can you guys see chat?
Yep, we can see the chat.
I was just wondering if you answered Fred's question.
Oh, we did have a question from General from Fred. Would this guard list need to change anything with -1 damage death card sitting on the horizon? Less plasma, more meltas? I actually don't think so at all. I think that just going to multi-meltas instead of plasma cannons on the sponsons of all these Russ, I think that's enough. I actually might drop the single Russ that isn't the commander and maybe try to fit maybe fit a couple Scion squads in, maybe give those melta guns. but I still really like the 8 rapid fire. It lets you sit away from the Death Guard. With a 5-inch move on a Death Guard model, you can sit 18 inches away from it, rapid fire it, and you are not getting charged.
Oh, okay.
And with the Luminar's
So,
tank is actually firing twice.
probably not going to have Warp Point, otherwise they'll lose their Pure Roughs. I think that this Guard list would still be able to deal with Death Guard, but frankly, we do need to read the new Death Guard rules. Unfortunately, I don't have that book in my hands yet, so I'll want to read that, but I think there's just enough firepower here to overcome -1 damage, frankly.
So take one at a time.
Yep. 4 up. How much damage?
3 flat.
Okay, second one is a 4 up.
Okay. And then 2 more. Now 2 5-ups. Okay. You done? A heavy bolter.
A couple Inceptors just went down. Zach is starting this this gruesome shooting phase. This is the last round of the Manticore. So if Harrison can last through this, there's a lot less guns coming his way, but frankly, lasting through this looks like it may be a little bit difficult right now.
It can reroll both those dice. 10 shots instead of 5.
Particularly the characters.
Exactly.
Yeah. His 4s again. 2. 2 6-ups, -3. First one is good for 4. Second one's good for 4.
Squat.
All right, so the last Plasma Inceptors is dead. And now there's a block in the middle that's 3 Blade Guard, 2 Sanguinary Guard, Mephiston, and a Sanguinary Priest. It's basically all that Zach has left to deal with. He's got a couple Plasma Squads on the flank. They're going to start rapid firing. It looks like they were able to cut an angle to catch something. I think they're getting one of the Sanguinary Guard in the back right now.
There's the 2
more.
And here, Strength 4, Toughness, or Strength 8, Toughness 4. It's a bad equation for the Blood
6
Angels.
plasma saves in the Sand Guard. Either of them in cover?
No.
Alright, 5-ups.
6 5 ups.
3 go through, or 4 go through?
4 go through.
2 apiece.
All right, 4 failed saves on the Sanguinary Guard. Film Out Pain might save them, but you wouldn't expect to see it.
Still over. 1 dead.
Scars a couple of
2 dead. Boop boop.
All right, that's the end of the Sanguinary Guard there.
The back
Again, this looks like
guys
it's
have
popping up stages for Zach. He's just
but I
trying to
think
finish
as
off
of
right
right
now.
now, actually, no, he's the closest target. Right?
Shoot.
Still 2 Rust to shoot, I think, as well as 2 Manticores. Frankly, I would expect this to be the last turn of the game.
Out of rapid fire. So 1 guy's in rapid fire, 1 guy's out.
Left is
And
a
the third guy.
3 Blade Guard, Sanguinary Priest, Mephisto.
So 2 guys are
I
going
believe
to
the
overcharge
company.
into 2 guys
That's
are
true.
overcharging, 1
Maybe
is
he'll
rapid
save
fire.
the Manticores for last. If the company vets are still there, they'll just get hit by the
It's
Manticore.
not 5, right?
Yeah.
2
Looks like we have another question in chat.
What is the question?
All right. Ooh, we do have a question from Death or Glory Wargaming. Siegler, Silent King versus the new Mortarion, who's better?
Mephiston has stalwartly said, I give no fucks.
I do not care
Both of
about
them.
your plasma. Please go away.
We
It's
haven't
like-
in practice yet, so I kind of want to wait just that.
This is gonna come in and
Names
focus
Silent
on
King and one of the best models in the game
That
because
priest is actually the closest thing to him, so I think it behooves me to shoot him
that
first.
amazing and shooting,
I'm gonna
and
put
buffs the whole army.
I'm going to use
Uh,
the Armor Domination for 3 pin buff.
Oh, that's smart.
The Mortarion is pretty much in this.
I am. I'm gonna put 4 multi-melt as a heavy bolter into him, and then Demolisher into the Blade Guard.
It took me a little while to figure out these things to surround the Silent King. I think the same thing is going to happen to Death Guard. It's going to take a little while. What's the perfect combo to help buff and
Priest at -4.
support?
2 3 ups.
Yeah, I don't even know. Okay, it's
Very, very
2
strong.
plus 8 damage.
Okay. Done.
I do think more
And then
more
into the Blade
acceptable
Guard, I
things
get
like years.
2.
Yeah, I think the big thing is 18 versus 16 words.
And also the relationship to skewering. Now the Mortarion is natively a bit tougher
Mhm.
because he is
Toughness 8. He's got -1 damage.
5 of pain.
Really strong.
So
5 on
he's still going to be a tough guy. But I think they made him extra tough just because they weren't going to change his wounds very good.
Absolutely.
First one is 4, second one is 4.
Yeah, your mic's not great, Richard.
Okay.
It's like you're cutting in and out, you're far away.
We'll try to hold that up a little bit. Thank you.
Into Mephiston.
Nope,
and
not happening.
well, I've tried multi-melt. Those haven't worked. So we're gonna try Demolisher. And the multi-melt is into the Blade Guard first, and the heavy bolter into the Blade Guard. Multi-melt this. Blade Guard takes 4
Looks like
damage.
we're just in a shooting phase here. This is where you can really just see the shooting power of the Imperial card.
And the
When they're
Demolisher
able to get to play their game, and Zach did a good job screening, he was able to keep shooting for every turn. You're getting enough damage almost every time here.
Okay, this
It's not happening, Zach. Just
5.
Zach is struggling with the last Blade Guard here. There's not much left for Harrison, but whatever's left is hanging on.
4 go through. Existing feel no
For
pains. 19.
19? Easy.
Oh, that might be a missing. 19 feel no pains is what I just heard. That's probably more than he's gonna make.
19.
Probably.
Just 5 up.
Yeah,
I think
that's good.
small finally cut him down.
Okay. And then the last mana core will go into your 2 company bets.
Hey, good game.
Okay, good game, man.
All right.
Yep.
Close
That's
game
the
out.
handshake right there.
Guard with an absolute brutal display. I think
Hands and
Oh, yeah.
being
for the
conscious.
Yeah, we should
Immediate pure
shook hands. That was.
Silly. Sorry about that.
thing needed to be deploy outside of the ruin near the straight
Yeah, it's
advance
cutting
up
out
into
bad,
high-
Richard.
and be able to contest triangle at the tip of the ruin. So I think that was honestly the biggest mistake. You just can't take a full phase of guard shooting like that. Turn 1 at that angle, you wouldn't have been able to take very much damage, especially because of the demolishers. At that point, you've accepted transhuman on the unit that they're trying to kill, plasma scepters, and just get into that center part of the ruin.
Yeah.
And from there, you go for the wraps.
Yeah, I think Harrison underestimated the damage that was going to be dealt by the Imperial Guard. And certainly, they hit very hard. And frankly, Guard get a bit of a bad rap in 9th edition. I don't think a lot of people appreciate the amount of damage that they can deal. Looks like they're tallying up the final scores right now. Looks like Zach is going to almost max it. I don't know what his last secondary was, but it looks like he's going to score 88. I don't know if Harrison is getting any more points here.
He is not.
No, because he conceded.
Yep.
It's possible 1 mana core doesn't kill the 2 company vets, but I don't think he has the storm shields on them. Very unlikely.
Yeah. And I don't think they're touching the ruin because they didn't want to get seen, which means that they're just taking 5 up saves.
Could happen, but
It's not. It's
that's
too little,
that,
too late
the
anyway.
extra 3 points doesn't matter.
Yeah, so
Looks like
this
there's
turn at the end,
your
I was
thoughts
able
on
to
it
just
again?
shoot over everything I had there.
We'll probably have
and,
to
I was going to
done.
resolve the Manticore into his last 2 models and decided that was.
There was no point. I mean,
Yeah,
we
that
know
was
Manticore picks them up. But overall, it was a lot of shooting into an army that just couldn't get there. Just couldn't get there to get it done.
Yeah.
And
I think it might have been helpful to have your Vanguard vets on the table and deployed here to be in a chance to turn sooner. But neither here nor there. I think not being able to break the center is what really hurt.
yeah, I just don't know if I could have deployed them on the table in a way that you couldn't have killed them turn 1.
Yeah, they would have had to start the corner and that. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, always safer to keep it off the table if you're worried about getting shot.
All right.
So that's that.
Sorry, man.
All right. So I guess my first question, Pickles, if you could pass this one on to Mr. Zach. My first question for Zach is what he thinks of the Imperial Guard. I know that he's not a Guard player by habit. I think he got a couple of practice games in, but I'm kind of curious to hear what his thoughts are. Zach Guard are not given a lot of love in 9th edition traditionally, but honestly, this is really where their power is on display.
Just sitting there.
All right. John wants to know what you think of the guard, Zach.
Oh, I think they're fantastic. I think the big conscript unit, fully buffed, standing in the middle of the table, is the best thing since sliced bread. Because that was the whole centerpiece. This is I'm going to shoot you a lot and put a blob of 30 guys you just can't get through. And by the time he got through, it was too late. So that's fantastic. The deep strike's great. Marines have a hard time screening. I mean, if you had multiple squads of infiltrators, I think it would be easier to block me out. But failing to have that, I could kind of just go where I want and do what I wanted. So I think it's a ton of damage. I think I'm terrified of the Slash Demons because I think if they touch me, I'm going to be standing like an idiot with my nuts in my hand, and that's probably going to be the result. But we'll see. Tune in later.
Yeah, and I just looking back on this game, like at no point do I ever feel like your tanks were threatened. And
Yeah, you never.
I never had a way to put pressure on them, at least not that I saw.
Sure.
My question for Harrison is, how many times throughout the game did he consider going for wraps? John and I were especially thinking about trying to make the target with the plasmid scepters, wrap
I lost to Matrix
and
because I didn't block my tanks
plasma
enough.
Oh yeah.
And a bunch of fires went charge guards and double fought attack.
Sorry, say it again.
how many times did Harrison think about trying to go for a double wrap on any of these infantry squads, so that even if Zach used the stratagem back out combat, he would still be get to
At no
keep
point did I have 2 combat units that were capable size to rep that were in combat. The only good combat I got off was the Vanguard vets, which were into a squad that was too big to wrap.
And they died. You killed all of them. You tabled them. You wiped the entire unit.
And other than that, I don't think I ever got into.
I got a multi-model unit.
Like, I don't think I ever had multiple combat units where you couldn't have just used breakout.
Yeah. If you really tried to, you probably could have locked me up in the middle.
Maybe.
I don't think it really matters. I'm obviously even just standing there, but that would have been a thing to keep me a shot.
Yeah, I'd have to. I'm trying to think. When did I ever have 2 units that were large enough to wrap with?
You could have held your Death Company back one turn and brought them in with a unit and wrapped me.
Yeah.
Like you could have probably. Yeah, you could have gotten cheeky if they were right there and moved 12 and try to like touch a tank while wrapping the guardsman. Like declare only the tank. Like you have to declare. Oh yeah, just declare only the tank. Hit it with the power fist and the hammer, and then wrap me from one side to the models. Maybe that'd be cute. That would be a way to do it. I did not like the Death Company into the guardsman. I understand for Relentless Assault, but you can make that play for the 4 points on Relentless Assault at a later turn as well. And I think I would have liked that play better later.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
Because they could have killed all these guardsmen, and then it would have given me more opening. I mean, actually, probably wouldn't. If you could find a way to kill all the guardsmen and leave me open to deep strike here, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back and watching the commentary on this and seeing, what you guys thought I should have done differently. Because there were times where I definitely didn't feel comfortable or know quite exactly what I needed to do next with this army.
Absolutely. So I think that Mr. Seeger's microphone died, it sounds like, and his nose starting to get a little choppy at the end of it. But either way, it's still very interesting to see. Blood Angels are considered one of the most powerful armies in the game, but I think it's very interesting to see how Guard could punch against them. For those of you who are watching, hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm sure that it was very good to see, kind of a different playstyle with the Imperial Guard. I really like all of those plasma units in reserve. I think that is perhaps the most powerful thing in the Codex, right next to the full payload Manticore. Either way, that combination has certainly seemed to be deadly in this game. And then while the players are cleaning up, I do want to, of course, give a nice friendly reminder that this is, of course, an event to help charity. This event is designed to raise money for Hammer Out Cancer, and that is to donate half of the money that is raised to the Fred Hutchins Cancer Research Institute, and the other half to the family of Vincent Price, a local gamer in the Seattle area who is unfortunately suffering from cancer and definitely needs our help. Either way, you can donate money at www.charityhammer.com. And there is a ton of 40K just, material that's been donated and will be raffled off to people who donate. Every $30 you donate does get you one ticket entered into all of the future raffles, and they're pulling out a raffle every game. So the sooner you donate, frankly, the more raffles you're going to be in. There's a lot of good stuff being given away. For example, you could win a fully painted, professionally painted, 2,000-point Necron army that's tournament ready right now. As well, there's a ton of different new unboxed 40K content being given away. We saw Orc armies, we saw Knight. There's a full list on the Charity Hammer website. There's a ton of great stuff. In the past 2 years, Charity Hammer has raised over $30,000 for specifically for Child's Play. This year, we're focusing on hammering out cancer. Now, it looks like Zach is still in the building. I did have a question for him. Do we know what his next matchup is going to be? I think it's between the winner of 2 games. I don't think that game's been played yet, but it looks like it's either going to be Peter or Paul. And I think Paul is playing Slanesh Demons and Peter is playing Imperium Soup. I wonder if Zach has a preference on what he's going to be facing off against. Oh, audibly, you are still on.
He just stepped away. I'll ask him if he comes back.
That's quite all right.
Peter answered for him. It would be him instead of the demons.
There we go. Well, I think that is actually the next game being played on this stream. That is going to be Peter and Paul. I think Mary's not making an appearance. But Peter is playing an Imperium Soup. It looked like it was a combination of Imperial Guard. I think that was Deathcorp Krieg Riders and Raven Guard. That's a super interesting list that we actually talked about on the last episode of Best in Faction. I'm really excited to see how that list plays into the Pure Slanesh Demons. It's certainly going to be an interesting match, and the winner is going to play against Zach. Yeah, that's going to be really exciting. I think that the winner of that game, it looks like that's going to be happening later today. I think that'll be on the other channel. And on the other channel, it looks like it's going to be Noah against Chuck. I believe that's Adeptus Mechanicus, specifically going up against Chuck's Sisters of Battle. Harrison's asking about our commentary. Well, we try to be nice, but certainly, we do really like that Blood Angel list. But you know what? It's a hard one to play on the table. So, I'm sure Harrison will be able to rewatch this game, maybe get some pointers. Either way, I think that this matchup is certainly an interesting one, but Guard has such tremendous firepower. You have to be very careful playing against that. All right.